I was talking to the PBSO grill team at the Expo Center near where you and I are sitting right now. Thousands expected to come and break bread, literally and figuratively, with their comrades from PBSO and indeed around the region, around the state, and from around the nation to honor Corporal Luis Paez, Deputy Ignacio Dan Diaz, and Deputy Ralph Butchwaller, three fallen motormen being honored this day. The procession just now beginning to leave for what ultimately will be about a 10-mile route from Palms West Funeral Home to the, I think, amphitheater, financial amphitheater here at the South Florida Fairgrounds. There is a more direct route, but PBSO wanted a chance for the community to watch this procession, to offer their own condolences and prayers. We saw that so movingly every time a motorcade has moved past in the past week or so, people standing on the side of the roads, both civilians and those with law enforcement, either with salutes or hands over hearts. And so many people told us today that they will be doing that this day. So it'll be roughly a 10-mile route that will travel down and around a number of roadways in Palm Beach County. Some of you familiar with them, some not, but essentially down to Southern Boulevard, over to Crestview, back up to Okeechobee, then down and around to the, I think, financial amphitheater, where already thousands have gathered, American flags along the route, and a community coming together to pause today in support and prayer for these deputies who had done their duty for so many years, and now their lives, their services being honored, and their loss being grieved.
We pause a moment as those three hearses are lined up inside, as Todd Wilson described, three flag-draped coffins of these law enforcement officers who've cumulatively have served this community for more than 80 years, Michael. Let's go back to Todd for this very difficult moment there at Palms West Funeral Home as law enforcement motormen surround these hearses, and we're told that family also accompanying the hearses right now. Todd, what can you tell us from your vantage point?
Well, Shannon and Michael, I'm standing here and I'm looking at this, and to me, the only way that I can describe this is that it's a beautiful sight in a sad situation. To see the motorcycles pulling out and the hearses following them, the way that they are showing respect to their fallen comrades, to the love and the respect that they have for them, and the organization of getting them to move forward. It is beautiful to see this. You really get a feeling standing out here with, there's a number of folks that have come from the neighborhood that are watching this, and getting to stand out here and watch it, you hear the roar of the motorcycle, and you know that these men and women, they're sad, they're hurting, and they just want to show as much respect and honor to their fallen comrades. And it's almost about this time to take off, heading towards the, I think, amphitheater. And I heard, it's interesting, you heard that 2 minutes, minute 30, a minute, 30 seconds, and then they started to move into line. And if you can see, going down State Road 7, you can see all of the motorcycles that are here from different agencies heading down State Road 7. They're heading south, heading towards, I think, amphitheater for that one last time. Back to you, Shannon, Michael.
As we look on at that poignant scene, Todd, in loss, they show their strength as law enforcement, as a family. And in heartbreak, today, they show their unity for one another, for the duty they all swore an oath to, for the families now left behind for whom they are offering their emotional support, and Shannon, their financial support as well. As you learned talking to me earlier today, you'd been talking to sources about the money being raised that will, at least in a small way, help these bereaved families make their way financially. The emotional path that they must travel for the rest of their lives is beyond words, but from the Police Benevolent Association to other agencies, at least trying to help them, showing their respect and unity. Speak to that. You talked to me about that earlier.
Right. We spoke with members of the PBA who are out here today. We shot some video a short time ago of the Fallen Law Enforcement Officer Memorial, the mobile unit that is on display here, a number of flower arrangements, but PBA and the families were quick to point out what could be really helpful to these families as they try to put one foot in front of another and
to raise
their
funds
loss.
to help them.
They're looking to raise money as we look at the procession about to get underway down State Road 7. It'll turn onto Southern Boulevard. They're raising money, PBA is, and they have a goal of $100,000 per officer. I spoke with them a short time ago. So far, the money's raised $188,000. They hope to reach the goal so they can give a gift of $100,000 from this community to these three families who are at their worst of times right now.
And they certainly understand and respect that there's no amount of financial support that can fill the void they will live with for their lives. But they try with the financial support, but as and more importantly, with the lifelong emotional support, always reminding us that these bereaved families are their families and that they will be for them emotionally. You will hear the stories in the years to come. These deputies had grown children, but those children will always have a family with law enforcement. And we'll hear from one of the daughters, or we are expected to today, to hear from Alexandria Diaz, daughter of Deputy Ignacio Dan Diaz, one of those who is expected to speak today. For those of you just joining us, you see the procession beginning from the funeral home, Palms West Funeral Home here in Palm Beach County, to I Think Financial Amphitheater, and looking at these images on 441, Corporal Luis Paez, a 36-year veteran of PBSO and a longtime motorman. Dan Diaz began his law enforcement career in 1996 with Palm Springs. They would later become part of PBSO. Deputy Ralph Butch Waller started his law enforcement career in Polk County in 96. June of 98, came to Palm Beach County, eventually to PBSO, and was known, his family and friends said, for that infectious smile and helping those in need, and a friend to everyone as you look on at these images now.
And I find it fitting, Michael, that they've chosen the route they have because these law enforcement officers grew up, served the communities that they are now driving their final lap before they make their way to I Think here. This is where they served. Royal Palm Beach, Palm Springs, Belle Glade is where many of them started serving in law enforcement. And our Joel Lopez, he's along the route right now, taking in the images that we're seeing on the screen. Joel?
That's right, Shannon. I think how you mentioned it is exactly the sentiment that I'm getting here. Very slowly, we're seeing a lot of people from the community start coming out to the street to pay their respects. Like you're saying, this is an area where these deputies patrolled. You know, these are their friends, their family, areas that they were here every day. And I mean, you know, the site of the crash is really about like just 7 miles west of where we're standing. So this is, you know, a really somber moment for everybody that's out here, for all this amazing, overwhelming amount of law enforcement that's out here right now. We're seeing the procession make its way through. I know this is going to be doing a bit of a square route. The amphitheater is actually the opposite direction of where we see this motorcade headed. But like you said, this is their way to kind of give back to the community so that they can say their final goodbyes. Right now the procession is headed west, but then it's going to be heading north on Crestwood, then back over on Okeechobee, and then back down towards the amphitheater, of course, giving that community that last goodbye. Everybody here, I've seen motorcade from all across this state, and you know, it's been such an emotional day already, and the reality, it's been a very emotional last couple of weeks. You know, we heard first the loss of the 2 deputies after the crash, and then of course the loss of that 3rd deputy Diaz a few days later, and that's 3 deputies, 3 different families. So you can see we just panned over a little bit. It's headed a little bit more west. It's not going to go by the route of where the crash went. It's going to turn north eventually before that, but of course just giving their final look of their final goodbyes to the community before heading to the amphitheater.
Joel, thank you for your live reporting there. As you look at the motorman in the foreground there, a reminder of all the people who go out onto our streets every single day, doing their duty, as has been said repeatedly, never guaranteed that they get to go home that day. And they take on that work, and it's worth pausing and thinking about that for more than a moment, and to think about it more than beyond today. Going to a job that gives no guarantees because of its attendant dangers and risk that you will go home that day, and yet you find people, men and women, courageous enough to say, I'll take up that work for my community. And today the community looks on and says, thank you. And the law enforcement community says, by its numbers, by its emotion, by its sentiment, we know what you did. We stood alongside you while you did that work. It mattered. You matter. And you always will. And we will remember you and be there for your families. A community in every way, emotionally, literally, figuratively, saying today how much we've lost, how much we'll remember, and that we're all duty bound, as those law enforcement officers have said to me, to always be there, to always remember, and when we're doing our duty, to do it mindful of the work that these three selflessly did for decades in Palm Beach County to make the community a bit safer for you and me, a bit more pleasant. Every one of them talked about the smiles on their faces as they did their duty. And today we say thank you, and that we're there for their families. The law enforcement community wants that to be known now and forever.
And just the unbelievable moment as you look on at the split screen here, Michael, not one, not two, but 3 hearses carrying these law enforcement heroes throughout the very streets that they patrolled. To your point, Corporal Luis Paez, 36 years ago, joined PBSO. He was on road patrol in the city of Belle Glade first, served the Palm Beach International Airport District for a time. 2 decades with the motor unit. People who served alongside him said he was a cornerstone for that unit. And colleagues remembered him as patient and kind, with incredible amounts of knowledge. And that's what strikes you as you talk to law enforcement, as we've seen them streaming in here and in the last 13 days, the loss of knowledge. These were men who served their fathers and sons in this community. They went to churches and were part of charitable organizations and groups and showed up at Publix and our kids' schools. And they served us so heroically day in and day out. And on this day, to be mourning the loss of three heroes at once is such a weight, such a heavy burden. We were speaking with team getting ready for the fellowship hall and the food, preparing the food, and the men who were preparing the food were in tears, speaking just a short time ago. They've been up all night making this food. They don't know how
their way to honor
express their love,
their colleagues,
and their honor, but that is how they've done it, through tears.
They certainly do. Through a veil of tears, they do their duty this day and will continue to. And time and again have said to us, we'll go back to that work. We have gone back to the work. It is who we are. It's who they were. We can do no less but to honor them by continuing to do the duty of protecting and serving, as these 3 deputies did. I should note, word has come to me just a moment ago. I've confirmed from sources that among the dignitaries who will be here today, I am being told just moments ago that among those who will be here, President-elect Donald Trump will come here to pay respects. Governor Ron DeSantis here. All indications, both here to pay respects, not to speak, but simply to be here to pay their respects. Brian Mast, Republican congressman, will be the only dignitary as of this moment. And my understanding from talking to law enforcement sources who will actually offer brief remarks, most of that duty will fall to colleagues of these 3 fallen motormen. And in one case, according to the program, one of the adult daughters of the adult daughter of Deputy Ignacio Diaz will be among those who will speak this day. But again, word coming to me moments ago, it'd been back and forth about whether the president-elect would come or not because of obvious security needs, but the late understanding I have from law enforcement sources is that President-elect Trump will join the dignitaries who will be there. And on stage, I'm being told that our producer was, and the stage is being set, and obviously security has to be amped up, of course, for the president-elect, but he will be among those here. And indeed, Sheriff Rick Bradshaw had recently told me that after this tragedy, the president-elect, with J.D. Vance present and Attorney General nominee Pam Bondi present, had called to offer condolences, as have others. As you look at this motorcade making its way here from the funeral home.
Our Vanya Joseph is live along the route. Again, The procession moving from Palms West Funeral Home out to Southern, along Crestwood, then back to Okeechobee, making its way here. Vanya Joseph is along that route. Vanya, what can you tell us?
Yeah, Shannon, I have to say, you can't help but to feel deeply moved as you're watching all of these lights come down here. There has to be at least hundreds of motormen and motorcycles coming down here right now, down Southern Boulevard, taking this left here on Crestwood before heading down to the I Think Amphitheater, the roar of the engines. I know you mentioned earlier that, they didn't have to take this route. This is for the community, and the community, rightfully so, is out here today paying their respects. It's an early morning, it's a cold morning, and people are out here wrapped up, sitting on the sidewalk, standing, holding each other's hands as they pay respect to these officers. Also something that you don't always see, three hearse for all three of these men coming down here on Southern Boulevard right now. As I said earlier, multiple motormen coming down here, countless amounts of motormen coming down here, people out here paying their respects, community members lining up the streets. I know we spoke to a man earlier last week who sat outside of the hospital the day that we learned the news that Deputy Ignacio Dan Diaz had passed away. He said that he was simply there to give his condolences to the family, a family that he had never met before, a family he may never meet. I know today we're also hearing from the Diaz family for the very first time as they come down here. And preparations for this have started very early. I want to say when we were coming down here, we saw dozens of motormen at about 7 o'clock in the morning en route for this. A lot of people here today. I know they mentioned that they're expecting at least 7,000 people here today to honor these men. Multiple agencies out here today to support all three of these men coming down here on Southern Boulevard, taking this left again at Crestwood before making it to the I Think Amphitheater. Shannon.
Vanya Joseph along the procession route. Once again, it moved down Southern across Crestwood, headed to Okeechobee, then will cut through to Belvedere, making its way into the I Think Financial Amphitheater. Many have already arrived here, Michael. They are expecting thousands inside, I think, and that memorial service getting underway at 11 o'clock. I'll mention that PBSO, and I know you have been speaking closely with the organizational team of this, but they had a task force to really plan this out very carefully. There were very few things overlooked, but then there was interface with 3 separate families as well. And so it took a number of days to interface with those families, honor what the families wanted in this procession, in this community-wide memorial service, but also honor them as the law enforcement heroes they were. A lot of moving parts, and you're watching it play out on the streets of Western Palm Beach County right now.
It is always first and foremost, of course, about immediately and forever supporting those families who suddenly get that awful knock at the door and being there for them. And as you said, Shannon, then honoring their wishes for services, huge memorial service like this, how to best honor, how the families would like to see their loved ones honored, and PBSO working very closely and mindful always of those needs and those requests from families. And we see that this day as they come to remember, and really for the public at large, to add dimensionality to these men's lives. PBSO motormen, but that's a title. It doesn't speak to the depth of their service, how much they cared, how many late nights and early mornings they worked, how many people they impacted in a positive way, how much safer they made our community, how they enjoyed their lives, their neighborhoods, their children, their wives, their friends. As Sheriff last week told me from Martin County, William Snyder said to you and I, Shannon, the community's poorer for that loss of these people who had the fullest dimension of life and were enjoying that to the fullest, just as you and I hope to do, as all of us do. And that's the loss today. Yes, we lost law enforcement officers, and yes, the law enforcement community grieves, but beyond that, there is also what the community lost. And it's why so many people we've seen in the last many weeks have come out to stand on roadways and to say, for a moment, I put my hand over my heart, as we've seen many times, to say, you matter, we care, and we're all one community, law enforcement, civilian, all of us, young and old alike. And that's what you're seeing today, a community that says, let's step back for a moment and say, we're poorer for your loss, but will find strength in moving forward and honoring your lives.
The overarching theme and intent of this day, of this memorial for the community, but as you mentioned, the sensitivities and wishes of family members. And so what you're looking at on your screen right now, as these three hearses move from roadway to roadway in this square around the Western communities where they served, where they lived, where they raised families and served us all. This is what the family and law enforcement wanted to display. They wanted you to be able to step out onto the street and pay your respects. But it was very, very sensitive that only the family members would be part of the hearse, in the hearse around the bodies of these three law enforcement heroes, and then only motormen would be surrounding these hearses as well.
Their brethren who knew the work they did, and you look on at the scene we described a moment ago. People gathered to pay their respects. Let's look by silently. A little child on his parents' shoulder, people from all walks of life,
Hands over hearts,
coming to pay their respects to the people whose duty every day is to protect and to serve them. But of course, in any community that goes both ways, honoring the duty of those who take on that task that so many would shun, and yet they find the courage and the commitment to do it and to continue to do that duty. And after today, for all the heartbreak, thousands of law enforcement men and women will leave here and go back and answer the next call, and the call after that, and the call after that on their law enforcement careers and journeys.
And when you ask them why, they say simply, we took an oath. We took an oath.
Corporal Luis Paez, Deputy Ignacio Dan Diaz, and Deputy Ralph Butchwaller. And we have an interview that we'd like to run. It's from a principal locally speaking to much of what we've talked about this day. Let's listen.
He's funny, he's real, he's truthful, and super loving. Has the biggest heart that you've ever seen. He helped with traffic. He directed our parents just following all the traffic rules and directions, and then he became a part of our school community.
I'm not sure that we're able to hear the principal from H.L. Johnson. We'll have our producer let us know if we're able to queue up that interview. But as we mentioned, as we're seeing motormen pull in behind us now, there's an area here at the fairgrounds in the parking lot where motormen from all across the country have come, law enforcement from New York and San Diego, and you hear them streaming in behind us as you see the procession continuing. At this moment, I believe we're on Okeechobee Boulevard making its way here to Belvedere Road, and you can see members of the community coming out, Michael, and we were talking about Deputy Ralph Butchwaller. He served in Royal Palm Beach, the police department there, since 1998. Then in 2006, PBSO took over that department, and he continued on as a motorcycle deputy working District 9. This is his community. The people you see standing on the streets right now are his people that he served for years. People remember him today. They tell us, as the principal from H.L. Johnson so eloquently put it, he was a friend to all, and he made the children at her school feel comfortable, and they wanted to come to school. He was known for his infectious smile, for helping those in need. Again, a friend to everyone, survived by his wife Denise, his father Ralph, and his sister Tanya.
Luis Paez, Corporal, 36 years with PBSO, motorcycle deputy sheriff for so many decades, through 2 decades in the motor unit, and PBSO said he became a cornerstone of the department, patrolling Palm Beach County's roads, training fellow motor deputies. His colleagues said of Corporal Luis Paez They want to remember his patience, kindness, and his extensive knowledge, which helped shape the careers of many who followed in his footsteps, they say. Their lives that made such a difference. And the same for Deputy Ralph Butch Waller, Deputy Ignacio Dan Diaz, as the procession draws closer to the I Think Financial Amphitheater at the South Florida Fairgrounds, where law enforcement in force and civilians alike gather, dignitaries as well, all to be here to pay final respects to 3 PBSO deputies who died in the line of duty nearly 2 weeks ago.
First responders of all walks, Michael, as we see fire rescue pulling at the end here of this procession. I've been speaking with law enforcement in the last week or so, as you have as well, and they tried to explain that today this community will see things that we have never seen before because they've never had a loss, as you heard Sheriff Rick Bradshaw say a short time ago. They've never had a loss like this in 100 years. They've never lost 3 deputies at once, 3 law enforcement heroes at one time. And so you saw hundreds of motormen in that procession just moments ago. It went on for as far as the eye could see, it seemed. And over today, we are anticipating inside of the amphitheater as the memorial gets underway. I'm being told by those who planned this event that we will see things today that we've never seen before, that they come out in huge numbers when they lose 1. They have lost 3. And they are so deeply wounded, the law enforcement community, not just here in South Florida, but indeed all across the country, this band of brothers.
We will at one point in today's memorial services, the PBSO aviation unit, helicopter unit will fly over in a missing man formation. Ultimately, at the end of the memorial service and before departure of law enforcement personnel, there will be the mournful sound of bagpipes and the wrenching 10-7 call with each of their badge numbers, which will be read out, 10-7, out of service. But always mindful of the service that they provided. And law enforcement, to a man and woman today, saying they will continue to do everything they can to remember that while their comrades are gone, they and their duty will be remembered and help to continue, as you heard us talking about, how they've been an inspiration to their colleagues for so many decades, will continue to inspire those around them. And again, for those of you just joining us on air and online, a huge procession, poignantly led by fellow motorcycle men from PBSO, but also so many have gathered from Miami-Dade County, from Broward, from, of course, all over the Treasure Coast, Martin, St. Lucie, Indian River, Okeechobee, across the nation, across the state, gathered here. Governor DeSantis will be on hand. The president-elect will be here to pay respects. We will hear from family members at this service beginning at 11 o'clock. And then later they will all gather in fellowship to support the families here. And as we look along this route, Kayla McDermott is part of our team covering the motorcade, and she joins us live now. Kayla.
Shannon, Michael, it's very emotional out here. People are all lined up and down the street as those hearses just passed by, as you can see now. They're standing in the cold. Some people told me that they missed work today to come out here to be part of their community. Even those on the other side of the street who are stuck in traffic, they don't look upset or bothered because they know how big of a moment this is. They're all just watching. Everyone has some tears in their eyes. And I can tell you, as somebody who comes from a family of law enforcement, my mother and father were both officers in New York. You know every day when they leave that something like this could happen, that your mother, father, brother, sister might not come home. And when it actually happens, like you can see here, it's heartbreaking. But to know that your brother and sisters in blue will come together like this, such a huge display of love and affection for the family, for these fallen deputies, it's truly remarkable. As we see even more motorcycles pass by us right now, we've seen hundreds that passed by before, and now it looks as though hundreds more are coming through. And it really is just so emotional. And everyone I'm seeing is silent as these people are passing by, as these officers pass by. There's American flags out here as well. And I do want to mention something else, is that we're in front of a PBSO substation, and every single person who has driven by us has had to pass a sign that says Happy Holidays. And that's something that I think that we can all appreciate a bit of, how the vast majority of us celebrate Thanksgiving with our families, Christmas is coming up soon, and these officers, these deputies' families had to go through a Thanksgiving without them. It's just so heartbreaking and tough. But I do want to pass over to my colleague, Brooke. Brooke?
Yeah, good morning, Kayla. We arrived here at this intersection on Okeechobee Boulevard and State Route 7 at around 3:45 this morning. You could just see a live look right now of this incredible procession that's taking place for these three fallen deputies. These motorcycles are loud, but the silence here is even more loud. People paying their respects, honoring these three heroes that are taken to these streets right now for this procession, the streets that they served every single day. True heroes here in Palm Beach County. Like I said, I've been here for hours and hours this morning, and it seems like every minute that passes by, even more law enforcement and first responders from all over the country, all over the state of Florida, continue to arrive here at this intersection, Okeechobee and State Road 7. There's a McDonald's here in this intersection parking lot. I stopped by in there. There were state troopers praying this morning around 8 o'clock, getting their morning breakfast, but they know the weight and the heaviness that this day has. I mean, this is an absolutely stunning live view that you're getting right now this morning of the procession for these three deputies. Again, there's just no words that we can say for these deputies, the sheriff's department, and our local community. You can see right there, they're trying to direct traffic and make sure that this is a safe and respectful morning. But again, just absolutely stunning view. If you could see the American flag blowing right back there. Todd Wilson mentioned that at the beginning of the procession. It's just a stunning view. Not a cloud in the sky today, a perfect day to honor these three fallen heroes right here in Palm Beach County. I'm going to go ahead and give it a moment of silence here. That way you could really take it in exactly what we're seeing. This is a very large procession, a well-deserved procession. Take a look. There are people of all ages lining right here on Okeechobee Boulevard. Again, they're heading east, and they're about to turn south to State Road 7 towards Belvedere as they head towards the amphitheater. A lot of these people here just taking it all in like I am, and I'm sure a lot of you at home as well. An emotional sight to see. I'm going to go ahead and toss it back to you, Michael and Shannon.
Thank you. As we look on at the huge motorcade, as people, law enforcement and civilians, members of the community, pausing, taking times out of their day to reflect, to remember, to grieve, to pray, to say with their presence how much you mattered, how much you continue to. As I look on at scenes like this, I'm always reminded, where do we get such men and women who take on this duty? I grew up in a military family. We lost our share of friends to aviation accidents, and I used to ask my dad. And if you were to ask their colleagues, and I have, some of them with great modesty will simply shrug and say, it's who we are, and it's what we are. Born to it, perhaps, inspired to it by others, as these deputies inspired others to do similar work, and find a vein of courage and determination that says, amid the worst kind of tragedies, like the one that has claimed the lives of these three deputies, we go on, because what we do, we think the work's important, we love the work, we care about the work, and we're determined to do the work. It is a very special breed of person, and it's very easy at times in our everyday lives to perhaps take that for granted. And on these days, we're reminded of that price that is paid. And in that vein of thought, one of Deputy Ignacio Dan Diaz's friends had this to say.
Diaz is a big guy. He's towering. So when he grabbed you, he hugged you. It was not a soft hug. It was a hard hug. Just grab your family, grab your loved ones, and just hug them. I think that's probably the biggest thing, they would want, because I know how close they were, and I know the type of person he was.
A friend of Deputy Dan Diaz sharing thoughts of loss as you look on at the procession that makes its way toward, I Think, Amphitheater, carrying the bodies of these 3 law enforcement heroes. And such an observation from Kayla McDermott that as this procession goes along, Michael, they are met with happy holidays and spirit-filled, joy-filled celebrations of the holiday season. But for this community, there has been none of that. Even those left behind, they stand with tears in their eyes through their Thanksgiving celebrations with their families. Many of them were alongside these families on Thanksgiving Day. And then they come here 13 days later, still trying to make their way through their grief. And to your fine point, that through all of that, they have continued to show up at their posts and continue to protect and serve us all.
As you look at the motorcade continuing, and likely roughly, I'd say perhaps anywhere from 5 to 10, perhaps 15 minutes from arriving here, the stately procession making its way to the I Think Financial Amphitheater. For those of you just joining us on air and online for our ongoing coverage of today's memorial for these 3 fallen deputies, and you look on at that image, and as you do, thousands of law enforcement personnel already here, the entire route with huge American flags draping the route. And here at the South Florida Fairgrounds, that's certainly the case. We will hear from family members today, from colleagues of the fallen. Dignitaries will be here, among them law enforcement confirming to me President-elect Donald Trump, Governor Ron DeSantis, Congressman Brian Mast, who will make brief remarks, we are told, before families and friends primarily will speak to the assembled here. Luis Paez, 36 years of his life dedicated to PBSO. Just a proud motorcycle man, a seasoned veteran. Here's what one of his friends had to say.
He's a great guy. We got along so well with so many mutual interests. It was very easy to room with him.
He was always just, like I said, a light in our lives, and he was always fun to be around. And it is so difficult to process.
Knowing that he was just so close to retirement absolutely breaks my heart, and he was so looking forward to it.
As much as he loved serving for PBSO, with his comrades, as much as he loved that, he truly was, he told his friends and family, so looking forward in less than a year from now to his time to retire. His time, he had wrapped up his service. He served on road patrol in Belle Glade is how he started his career, and then served the PBIA Airport District for a time before joining the motor unit for 2 decades.
Survived by, among others, his son Cameron. And they simply said, he will be truly missed. Words that cannot speak to the depths of their loss. And because of that loss, always the lifelong commitment from their law enforcement community to remember and to honor them. And indeed, Shannon, there is one note today that touched me, and I think it will you. It said, to serve and protect was their oath. To honor them is our duty. And at today's memorial service, indeed, 3 full, rich lives being honored, families being supported in every way possible, and a community taking time. And when I say a community, not just Palm Beach County. Sadly, we've seen too many tragedies across our 5 counties and indeed the nation, fallen deputies. So when we talk about a community, we're not only talking Palm Beach County. We're not only talking PBSO. We're talking about wherever you are, giving thanks.
You're looking
saying I'm there for those families.
That's right, and you see that happening right there on the split screen, Michael. On the right-hand side of your screen, those are civilian motormen, some of them former law enforcement, some active duty from other parts of the country.
Absolutely.
But on the left-hand side of your screen, the men and women who served alongside these 3 local heroes. On the right-hand side of your screen, the civilian, perhaps retired law enforcement arriving and heading into the amphitheater here.
Todd Wilson, we have now, rejoins us. Todd?
Yes, sir. I am here. We are watching as the procession with the hearses go by, with all the motorcycles, the hundreds, possibly over 1,000 motorcycles. That was the pre-procession, I understand, and now we just had the hearses pass us by heading towards the, I think, financial amphitheater. And as you can see, it's still many, many more vehicles to come. Michael and Shannon, it's like I said, it is a beautiful sight to see on a sad day. To see all of the law enforcement from across Florida, even across the country, come here just to pay their respects from Broward, Lakeland, Flagler, Stewart, slowly moving down State Road 7. It is a beautiful sight to see that the support that the families and the colleagues of the fallen deputies are receiving. It is a beautiful sight on a sad, sad day. You can hear that rumble, the rumble of the motorcycles just going by. Think about it every day. Those three men, those three deputies, that's what they got to know. That's what they loved. Protecting the community, looking out for each other. And that's exactly what their comrades are doing for them and their families. Back to you, Michael, Shannon.
And Todd Wilson observing the procession as it inches closer here to the amphitheater at the South Florida Fairgrounds. I think Financial Amphitheater, the memorial set to get underway at 11 o'clock as you see fire rescue bringing up the back end of this procession. And what a moment as Todd shared those images. Several people were sitting along the sound walls there, the sound barrier walls. There they are right there as they zoom in. Several people were along the sound barrier walls, standing there, hands over their heart, paying tribute to their service and their sacrifice. And I do know it appears here on the ground at the amphitheater as well. It appears that the procession is about to arrive.
Moving closer, we believe it could be slightly different. Our understanding is it may come in from just east of where you and I are located. Nonetheless, we will continue to bring you live pictures of this moving procession. The thin blue line, Shannon, as they often call it,
right.
Police officers and deputies, and it's thinner today, and yet these images remind you thinner for the loss of these three, but no less resolute to do their duty. And always to remember, and law enforcement personnel told me that's why from not only all corners of our 5 counties, but all corners of the state, all corners of the country, we come to say we, more than any of us, we served alongside you. We did that kind of duty. We took up that cause. We worked the late shifts, the early shifts. We saw the dangers. We saw the things that came out of our duty to the community. We've seen the tough times. We've bonded with you, and today's a reminder that that bond will live on. Their memories bond law enforcement together, and serving their families will continue to bond the law enforcement community together. And it's worth noting that, again, these families, for such tremendous loss that is beyond any words to describe, can at least know that they have law enforcement walking every step of their journey for the rest of their lives.
Sheriff Rick Bradshaw so eloquently put it just after this tragedy that when a member of law enforcement is lost like this, and this is 3 at once, that a piece of the community is gone. There's a hole, a gaping hole that can never be filled. He said and reminds us all in all of the interviews we do with the sheriff, and Martin County Sheriff William Snyder as well said the same, that it's the only profession that you wake up in the morning and the risk is so great that it is entirely possible that you will not walk through your door and see your family again at night.
And Sheriff Bradshaw spoke very recently to that in the last several days. And for those of you just joining us, please listen.
They're all saddened by it because they know when you lose a law enforcement officer, you lose a little piece of the community, because that's what it's all about. They're protecting the community. So when they pass away, the community is just a little less safer. So we're going to give them a good send-off on Tuesday, We appreciate the support of everybody.
Sheriff Rick Bradshaw, now in his 6th term as Palm Beach County Sheriff, talking days ago on the day that Deputy Ignacio Dan Diaz succumbed to his injuries about a community's loss and about a community coming together. As you continue to look live at the motorcade, the huge motorcade of motor units, motorcycle units, police units, all coming together to honor the lives of Corporal Luis Paez, Deputy Ignacio Dan Diaz, and Deputy Ralph Butch Waller. Mike Trim along the route as well, our anchor Mike Trim. Mike?
Yeah, Michael and Shannon, look, we're looking at this procession traveling eastbound here on Belvedere Road and then turning to go south on Sandsbury Way into that familiar place to many, I think, amphitheater where you are right now. And they're going into Gate 3, if anyone's familiar with that. I've counted at least 50 Palm Beach County Sheriff's deputies, as if the whole force is here right now, traveling down Belvedere Road, all with their lights on, quiet. They've been blocking traffic for some time now for this procession to roll through. Once they get there to, I think, amphitheater, you're going to see a couple of huge flags. Michael and Shannon, I know you can see those, some of those behind you. There's a big blue line flag, an American flag, and actually heading into Wiseman Road, where they're traveling right off of Sandsbury southbound, to give people an idea that aren't familiar with the area. And I think amphitheater, the roads around it, that's what we're looking at right now. So fronting what you've already seen so far with our Todd Wilson or Joe Lopez and everybody else on this route, you are seeing several, and I mean several, Palm Beach County Sheriff's Deputy cruisers. What I've also seen is all morning long just a growing congregation of law enforcement from around the state as far as Marion County in North Florida. You had, I saw also a contingency from a benevolent association in New Jersey set out right outside of the gate. They had a food truck ready to go to help people here. Kind of just take it easy as they get into the amphitheater after this procession. So again, you're taking a look at that long one. If you're just joining us here on WPTV News, look, this is Belvedere Road eastbound, the procession for 3 fallen Palm Beach County Sheriff's deputies that were on November 21st, just working their motorcycle unit duties, and that is when one of them had an issue with their motorcycle and pulled to the side of the road. Called his other 2 fellow co-workers, no doubt knew for a long time, and they came and tried to get that motorcycle to the side of the road, but that is when Florida Highway Patrol says a driver overcorrected trying to turn into a lane from going right up against a car, and then just overcorrected in that lane and went right into those 3 deputies, leading into what we're seeing today. I can tell you as you're watching this procession right now, FHP's leading that investigation. No charges have been filed. They say the driver, a Pennsylvania woman, she is cooperating with authorities, did not seem impaired, but again, blood tests, everything like that, that's still pending. And they will say about 90 to 120 days, they say the results of that investigation could come in. This is all likely happening just at a slow pace for the families, though. I mean, those details are kind of minute when you see this kind of outpouring of support today coming down Belvedere Road here. As many sheriff's vehicles as I've ever seen and anybody would ever see. And I know Shannon said earlier, this is going, and we talked to Sheriff Rick Bradshaw, this is going to be like something you've never seen before when you're talking about going all out for one law enforcement officer, deservedly so, but we're talking 3. Gosh, it, just happened so quickly. Long time motorcycle unit, motormen, you see 2 of them here right now. They're from Seminole County, Lake Wales Police Department. I'm naming off the departments as we're seeing such a Riviera Beach, such a turnout from law enforcement around the state. There's City of Homestead to our south. And so many cars in this procession. Again, this is for, and there we go, City of Clewiston, Broward County Sheriff's Office. This is for Deputy Luis Paez. This is for Ralph Butch Waller. This is for Ignacio Dan Diaz. This is for all of them, this procession. Michael and Shannon, you're near the gates at where people will enter for this 11 a.m. memorial. Let's go back to you.
It is such a poignant moment as you look on the procession here, the tail end, as you start to see the fire rescue trucks that will bring up the back end. Only motormen, motorcycle officers, as well as active duty patrol cars, part of this procession. No detail overlooked as you see motormen standing at attention. You are looking live right now at the entrance to the South Florida Fairgrounds. I think it's home to I Think Financial Amphitheater, where the 11 o'clock memorial will get underway in just a short while. But you are looking live as the procession begins to enter the gates here at this community memorial. Let's take a moment to listen in. We were told hundreds, if not 1,000, motormen would be participating in this procession, and you see them lining the entrance to the South Florida Fairgrounds here now, standing at attention, saluting the vehicles and the hearses set to arrive now.
And this is only a small part of the motorcade arriving. I am also want to remind those of you just joining us, we'll see a heightened presence of security because law enforcement has confirmed to me that Governor Ron DeSantis will be here, not making remarks, but here to honor the fallen deputies and show support for their families, and that the same will be the case. Law enforcement confirming to me that President-elect Donald Trump will also be here to pay respects, to honor the lives of the family. The only dignitary expected to make remarks, Congressman Brian Mast, and then it will be to the friends, the colleagues, and in at least one case, family member of one of the fallen deputies to speak to the assembled here about who these people were. So the program will again begin at 11 o'clock, and the mounted unit will show honors here, a flag folding presentation, a flag to be presented to each family by Sheriff Rick Bradshaw. The always gut-wrenching, mournful sound of the bagpipes, taps, a flyover, missing man formation to come later as you look at the motorcade just now, not even really fully here, and it'll be some time yet before the entire motorcade has made its way here. We're coming up on 10:25, the service set to, or scheduled to begin at 11. And then after that flyover, with thousands assembled, the 10-7 call. Each badge number will be read out, and you will hear over the radio 10-7 out of service for each of the deputies: Luis Paez, Ignacio Dan Diaz, Ralph Butch Waller. And only law enforcement can truly, in many, not all, but many respects, understand the depth of what drives people to do the work that they did. And most of them will be the first to all shucks and say, I'm just doing my job. Real heroes don't tend to brag. Sometimes we forget that in today's world. Real heroes tend to say, I'm just doing what I do. That was these three men. But what big shadows, what big light they cast, I should say. What big light they cast, and what shadows are cast now by their loss. And Tim Miller, longtime law enforcement, former Secret Service, spoke a bit about that. Let's listen.
You're working with these guys every day, and they become family. And so the Secret Service is hurting right now on a level that only law enforcement members can understand.
It is difficult to understand for civilians who are not in this line of work, but for people who serve right alongside them, they do understand. As you mentioned, Michael, it is a silent knowingness that they do what they do because they believe it certainly was or is their calling. And that is why you see all walks of law enforcement showing up from not just across South Florida, but indeed across the country. You see the men and women who served right alongside them at PBSO here on the grounds just after the ceremony that you've laid out, the funeral program we have before us, from 11 to about 12 o'clock. Then there'll be a fellowship inside the Expo Center where they'll serve the members of the community that came out to participate in this memorial. I believe we were looking at live pictures inside the amphitheater as thousands of law enforcement officials, again, from all across Florida and indeed the nation, have now begun to assemble in preparation for the start of this service.
You see heads bowed. The official memorial program begins at 11, but certainly prayers, reflections now as they gather, many in silent prayer as you see the huge American flag draped there. And again, the images on the right of Corporal Luis Paez, 36-year veteran of PBSO, Deputy Ignacio Dan Diaz, who began his law enforcement career in 1996, had been part of the motorcycle unit with PBSO, had come to PBSO and joined PBSO as deputy sheriff, transferred to the DUI unit 2008, and then in 2014 joined the PBSO motor unit. And as you look on at the image of Deputy Ralph Butch Waller, started his law enforcement career in 1996, Polk County, and came to Palm Beach County as a member of the Royal Palm Beach Police Department. He would be there for 8 years, and then in 06 they merged with PBSO. Many of you in Palm Beach County will remember that. And PBSO said of him, Butch, they called him, who loved being a motorman, continued that love. Assigned to District 9 in Royal Palm Beach. He became a neighbor, a friend, the person who came by on the motorcycle. Maybe you had a flat tire. Maybe made the road a little bit safer for you. You came to know him, yes, as a man behind the badge, but a man who was fully part of his community, as were they all. Such multi-dimensional lives. And was known, they said, Deputy Waller, for his infectious smile, survived by his wife, Denise, his dad, Ralph Sr., his sister, Tanya, family and friends. These are who these people were. This is what the community has lost. These are the families that law enforcement comes to support today.
As you look on at Corporal Luis Paez, actually, I believe we're looking on, we'll clarify with our producer as the sun is bright and we can't quite see our screen. At the moment you're looking at Deputy Dan Diaz. You know, he was, interestingly, when he initially started serving in law enforcement, he started with the Palm Springs Police Department, served as a police officer and firefighter. And then became the very first motorcycle officer for that agency before PBSO merged and took over the operation. It's quite extraordinary. He actually joined PBSO in 2004 and as you mentioned, served various units, including the DUI unit before joining the motor unit in 2014.
Duty drove them. We talk about it all the time. You ask them. You get into this work because you're driven by a sense of duty. And any number of these people have, in my years of covering law enforcement stories, so many of them, speak to that. Maybe they had a dad, a loved one, a mom, a friend who inspired them to get into the work. But whatever it was, whatever that strange alchemy is that makes somebody say, that's who I am, that's what I want to do. And the community is reminded today to be thankful for that, and for whatever it is, the ingredients that make one choose his or her calling. Be thankful that there are those who are still very, very willing to do it. Across the way, you can't see it from our, perhaps you can. I don't know if we can cut to that shot across the way. I saw some young men and women.
Our photographer Danielle has a shot.
I don't know if we can cut to that shot of some of the young people who, but we will a little bit later. We're seeing some images that we will queue up for you. But I see young men and women, sheriffs, perhaps cadets, I'm not sure, but perhaps we can cut to that image in a moment. And these are the young people who say, I want to follow in those footsteps and I see them sitting across the way from us. There you go.
This is part of the-
Look on at that image as we push into that shot of these young, I'm calling them cadets. I don't know precisely if they are. I saw a lot of young faces there, and I was reminded as I saw them walking past me, sitting by outside the Expo Center. They may, for all we know, may be helping to volunteer today to offer their help and services. But these are young men and women who are saying, I want to take up that duty. I'm willing to take that oath. I want to wear that badge with all the attendant opportunities, challenges, chances to serve and make their community safer and better, but also ever mindful of the risk that today brings all of us together to grieve those who, just like them one day, once upon a time, said, I'm going to be that person to make a difference. And here sit young people who say, I want to be one of those.
At a funeral where they're honoring their mentors, many of them. These cadets look on. This is the overflow area for this memorial service. Thousands expected, not just from law enforcement, but all throughout the community, welcome to participate and attend. And so you're looking right now live at the overflow area where, again, these presumed cadets have arrived just a short time ago, and they are watching some of the preparations for the service to get underway
If
now.
not cadets, and you and I are at our position, certainly cadets are a group of a lot of the young people who will be part of the future ranks of law enforcement here or elsewhere, whatever their titles today. They have a chance, as there are screens set up around the perimeter here, because not everybody by far will be able to make it in. Thousands are inside, but not many will. And I believe talking to our producer, going to an image now, Amanda, of what?
Dr. Green, I appreciate you giving me this opportunity just to come and say a few words to welcome you.
We know that the community, a community has come out in so many ways. There have been a number of vigils, Michael, in the last 13 days, evenings where the community gathered and did what they could to help these families. We mentioned Police Benevolent Association is trying to raise money and wrap their arms around collectively these three families, and certainly members of our community are doing the same. A young man in the Western communities set up a lemonade stand to do his part, an attempt to raise some money and help these families out. Let's listen.
He has a son the police officer has a son that goes to the same daycare as my littlest sister.
He asked me if there was a way we could raise money to try to help the family, and we came up with the idea to have a lemonade and cookie stand, and we're trying to pay off as much as their tuition as possible so that they have one less thing to worry about during this difficult time.
They raised enough money at the time we did that interview for 4 to 5 months worth of tuition. And in a day like this that is fittingly so somber, there is a moment where you look at that little face of one of the youngest of our community, and it gives you solace to say, whatever the age, we all care and we'll all come together in support of these families, in support of these fallen deputies, in support of the law enforcement community, in support of one another, and show the best of ourselves in the worst of times.
The PBA, the Police Benevolent Association, doing the same. I spoke with members this morning here on the grounds who were setting up the grilling area where they'll be feeding thousands after the memorial service, and they're here on the ground so far. Right after the tragic accident, they were able to bless each family with about $50,000 to meet immediate needs for this family. Certainly initiatives like this young man, the lemonade stand, every little bit helps, but PBA also has started a fund for these three families, hoping to raise $100,000, giving $100,000 to each of these families that have lost so much. At the moment, as of the start of the memorial today, they had raised $181,000 of that $300,000 goal.
Whether it's a lemonade stand or what you just described, every effort, whatever its size or scope, is one that speaks to the best of the community today, Shannon. And we will in a moment, as we look inside the Expo Center where service is set to begin at 11 o'clock to honor these fallen deputies. Motorcycle units are both within the official procession, but also motorcycle men and women gathering from departments around the community, and you see some of those images here as they gather here. This is not part of the official procession, I do not believe. In fact,
But I
I'm nearly
believe
certain of
these
that, but it's units that are, it
may
speaks
have
to what you've talked
participated.
about.
Yes.
That may have, if not part of the, and it could be part of the overflow of that as they arrive. Whatever the case, another image of the motorcycle units from around, from PBSO and from around our region, a proud group of people doing such important work out there every day, protecting your roadways. Somebody said to me last week, said, how can we honor them and honor their loss? Being a little more careful out on the roads, respecting, and again, we don't know all the particular circumstances of this case, so let me say I'm speaking broadly here. But I had a law enforcement officer say, in a broad sense, get out and thank one of them every now and again for protecting your streets, for keeping speeders from speeding.
Put down your phone. Obey the move over laws. Again, no inference about
No, speaking
whether
broadly, not to this case per se, but so that's how you can every day honor people. Walk up to them, say thanks for your duty. Takes 2 seconds, makes somebody's day as you look at motormen gathering from units around our community here as this service in relatively short order, the next 20-25 minutes. It's going to take a while for all of the assembled to make their way in as you look at the images of the 3 fallen deputies and the live images here at the South Florida Fairgrounds near the Expo Center and just down the way from the, I think, Financial Amphitheater where services, the memorial service, will be conducted.
they said we would see things, Michael, we had not seen before in a memorial service. And you are looking at an image of just that at the moment. We were told hundreds, if not 1,000 motormen would be part of the procession, and they have now all pulled in to the fairgrounds here, home to, I think, Financial Amphitheater, where the memorial is poised, set to get underway at 11 o'clock. And Michael, you know, I was struck by speaking with a number of law enforcement officials here on the grounds at the South Florida Fairgrounds this morning that a number of these members of law enforcement, they serve in multiple units. So sure, they may be part of the bomb squad or the mounted unit. Perhaps they're part of the motor unit, the motorcycle unit, but they also serve in other capacities. So there is a brotherhood of law enforcement, the law enforcement community broadly, where you see them gathering from not just across South Florida, but indeed from all over the nation. We've seen people roll in here, law enforcement from New York. We have seen motor units from San Diego, California. We have heard stories of law enforcement from Washington State flying in to be part of this service, that never before has this community experienced the loss, the devastating loss of not one, not two, but 3 law enforcement heroes at once. And what they say is we serve in these various units, and there is a band, if you will, this brotherhood and sisterhood, we should mention, in the law enforcement community, but also within specific units as well. So as you look on at these motor men who have shown up to honor these 3 fallen law enforcement officers, you see the brotherhood. And Michael Williams has walked over to speak with many of them who were part of that procession. You're looking live in a split screen at the moment. Inside, on the left-hand side of your screen, inside the amphitheater where thousands of law enforcement officials have now streamed in. They're finding their places. Sound checks are underway. And in the right-hand side of your screen, I'm going to ask my producer to repeat what we're looking at on the right-hand side of your screen. The glare of the sun is a little bit. So this is the beginning of the procession from earlier this morning from Palms West Funeral Home as those 3 hearses moved out. An incredible moment for this community to take in this morning. As 3 hearses pulled out of the Palms West Funeral Home carrying the flag-draped coffins of 3 of our law enforcement heroes, men who served this community collectively for more than 80 years. Corporal Luis Paez, survived by his son Cameron, served 36 years with PBSO, started in January of 1988, served on road patrol first in the city of Belle Glade, again, the Western communities, and you saw so many of those residents coming out onto the streets as that processional took to the streets in our Western communities, from State Road 7, spilling out onto Southern, and then to Crestwood, and then to Okeechobee Boulevard, and then winding its way down Belvedere. These were the roads that these men patrolled and served, that Corporal Paez also served in the PBIA Airport District for 2 decades on this motor unit as well, a cornerstone of the motor unit for PBSO. And you're looking on as residents have spilled out as well to pay their respects throughout this day. Again, the culmination of the processional has now occurred, and those who participated in this morning's procession have now made their way here to the South Florida Fairgrounds. So you're looking at video on the right-hand side of your screen of residents who spilled out onto the streets of that procession in the Western communities to pay their respects.
And I think we can cut to a shot. I just walked over. It's about 25 yards away from me. If we could take that picture from our camera of motorcycle units that had gathered here. So I went over. This speaks to the depth and breadth of the solidarity among law enforcement, from Miami Beach, from Opelika, from Fairfax County, Virginia, from Newark, New Jersey, from all over the nation. Motorcycle units, motorcycle men and women have gathered here. As you look on at that image, and perhaps we can push in with that shot a little bit, and to a person, the image says everything. That on these days just after Thanksgiving, when families dealing with such loss, as we push into that image, from around the nation, as I said, we will give thanks for the duty our colleagues gave to their community. We didn't know them, but we wear the badge and know who they were and what they did by that. And I walked over just for a moment to speak to them, and think about that, Shannon. That says so much today about the solidarity, the unity for law enforcement to be here from across our region. As I said, from Key West, from Miami Beach, Fairfax County, Newark, on and on and on and on from around the nation, said it mattered to give thanks to be here today. As you look on live at this image on the left of motorcycle men from around the nation gathered here, around the state and nation, and on the right-hand side of your image, thousands of law enforcement gathered to support the families inside the, I think, financial amphitheater on this day.
Because no matter where they have come from all across the country, Michael, they speak the same language. They quietly know, as you mentioned, the hours that they woke, the tragedies that they worked together, the difficult times they walked through to shore up those of us in the community who are struggling. They are part of our first responder community who are first in, last out. And today, as you look on at them, gathered here on the grounds of the South Florida Fairgrounds, as you mentioned, from all across the nation, they share that language. They understand that language. They're all also wearing what is called a mourning band across their badge. It is customary, it's a protocol that when you lose a law enforcement officer, that you will slide that band. It's a black band with a blue stripe running through it. You'll slide that band just over your badge, and it will remain there until the funerals of these law enforcement officers. Some agencies have told me sometimes it's 30 days after the internment, if you will, of the individual or the law enforcement official. But nonetheless, you see those mourning badges on every law enforcement officer here today.
And as we continue to show you the images from around our community, again, looking live here, I believe we have other images we can show you as the motorcade, the primary motorcade making its way and beginning to arrive here. But again, these are units from around
in the split screen there.
Oh, in the split screen shot,
that's
yes.
The PBA's rolling tribute to fallen law enforcement officers. The Police Benevolent Association is propping up these men's families.
Yep. A rolling tribute to those that made the ultimate sacrifice, as it says on the van there, and here to offer their support. You see that image on the right, the motorcycle units on the left.
And the names of all the fallen officers that they've lost on that flag that you see just behind that motor vehicle.
John Kasanjian, longtime PBA, head of the Police Benevolent Association, speaking about loss this day. We talk about that, and we will hear from him in a moment, but I believe speaking about Deputy Ignacio Diaz, but he could as easily be speaking about Corporal Luis Paez or Deputy Ralph Butch Waller, the loss that sadly brings this community together today to show in that loss its strength and solidarity to move forward and to support these families who have lost so very much. Here is John Kasanjian.
He had the passion for riding. All three of them did. They really did. Yeah. But yeah, they're going to be really missed.
He was speaking to about Corporal Luis Paez, but again, his words could just as easily be words for all three, and I know they are. John feels deeply and is always a tiger for his men and women, and like every law enforcement person in this community, and as you're seeing from around the nation, as you look at motorcycle units gathered from around the USA here, grieving deeply for Luis Paez, Dan Diaz, and Deputy Ralph Butch Waller this day, as we await in the next scheduled 15 minutes or so for this service to begin. And again, ever mindful that many of you may be joining our coverage at any particular point on air and on live. What you're watching now is the gathering of thousands of law enforcement personnel from around the nation, our community, to support their brethren at the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office, to support the lives and work and to grieve the loss of these three fallen motorcycle men here. And at 11 o'clock, a service that will begin here. The families, first and foremost, the focus of the respects that will be paid to their fallen loved ones. Dignitaries will be here as well. Governor Ron DeSantis, we're told, President-elect Donald Trump, law enforcement confirming to me, Brian Mast. But the moments will be largely those for family and the law enforcement friends of those families to speak to the assembled here this day.
In fact, there was a committee formed at the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office to handle this community memorial service, where the wishes of the family, the three fallen officers, their families' wishes, as well as the proper protocols and tributes be paid to these men. There was a weaving, if you will, of those wishes, and you're seeing the execution of that here on the grounds at the South Florida Fairgrounds today. It is a beautiful funeral program that was pushed out by the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office. To your point, Michael, we're expecting a number of speakers. Pastor Tom Mullins, a longtime local pastor, a founding pastor of a large church in the South Florida community called Christ Fellowship. He was a founding pastor back in 1984. He will be giving the invocation as well as the benediction on this day. So you'll hear a number of speakers. As you mentioned, one family member will speak. Many of the fellow law enforcement officers, you'll hear from Palm Beach County Sheriff Rick Bradshaw and the other dignitaries you mentioned as well, Michael, but Pastor Tom Mullins will be leading the prayer services, the invocation and the benediction. Known by many in this community, well respected, was a coach initially at Palm Beach Gardens High School back in the 70s, and then started this church 40 years ago in South Florida with campuses all across the South Florida community.
And Palm Beach County Sheriff Rick Bradshaw, speaking days ago, had this to say.
When you look in their eyes, you see that pain. It's a universal thing. You can see it, that they're feeling a lot of grief. And I never get used to it, ever.
How could you? How could you? Serve alongside one another day after day. You get to know them as friends and colleagues. You get to know their families. You run the same routes. You work the same cases. You become woven as one in this department, in this agency, and in this community. And so it indeed never gets easy when you lose one, but certainly not three.
And perhaps we're able to take the image here that shows the juxtaposition of the outdoor screens they have set up with some of the motorcycle men who have gathered, because for all the thousands gathered inside the amphitheater, not everybody can be inside. So what they have done at the South Florida Fairgrounds have set up screens outside. And right now I see some of the motorcycle men who've gathered from around the nation who walked over to look at that image. You see the screens there, and you're looking at live images as so many gathered here. Thousands, many thousands gathering here for services today. The memorial service for Corporal Luis Paez, Deputy Ignacio Dan Diaz, and Deputy Ralph Butch Wall are set to commence at 11 o'clock. At least that is the scheduled start here. But a chance for those who've gathered from around the country and perhaps cannot be inside to also be able to pay their respects and to look on and listen on to the services about to commence in the next 10 minutes or so.
Law enforcement officers have been arriving since 7 o'clock this morning. Many, Michael, were here overnight on the grounds of the South Florida Fairgrounds and the Expo Center preparing for this day's event. But they've arrived. There are many of them thousands inside now, the amphitheater, and then as you can see outside here in the parking lot, this overflow area, if you will, as the motormen congregate and gather around young men who are the future leaders, it seems, of the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office.
As we pan from right to left, you see the motorcycle units, veterans from around the nation, from, if you just joined us, Fairfax, Virginia, Fairfax County, Newark. I saw motorcycles from Miami Beach, Opelika, Key West, on and on from around Florida, around the nation. And then as we slowly pan from those veterans to the younger people who have gathered here, who are sitting by, who will watch, younger faces, perhaps, I believe, with a cadet style unit, or the younger people nonetheless, whatever precise unit they're with, who are here to take up the calling of duty. And for the loss they have witnessed these last few days are no less resolute, Shannon, in taking up that cause.
The memorial service set to get underway in about 9 minutes from now. You witnessed the procession that started at 9:30 this morning, made its way from the funeral home with those 3 hearses, driving, making that final loop, if you will, through the western communities that these 3 men so passionately served. 80 plus years of service between the 3 men to our local community. Made that loop down State Road 7, up Southern Boulevard, across Crestwood to Okeechobee Boulevard, and then State Road 7 again, down Belvedere, and into the South Florida Fairgrounds for this memorial. The memorial will run. You just witnessed the procession. There will be an honor guard that starts, opening remarks shortly. The invocation, as I mentioned, from Pastor Tom Mullins, and then some music. Remarks will be made by Congressman Brian Mast. Family will speak, and then, as you mentioned, that flyover, Michael, and the 10-7.
And Shannon, I walked over for just a moment as you were speaking. If we can take the image near us, I kept mentioning the young people wearing sheriff white long sleeve tees that say sheriff on the back of them. And as you look inside, I think financial, consider this as we cut back to that image outside where I stand. And Danielle will zoom in on that image. I walked over and I said, what group are you with? And one of them said, think about this. We're part of the new PBSO latest recruit class. Young men and women, as we zoom in on that image, who said, we're going to answer the call. We're going to wear the badge. We're going to serve. So as you in this community, wherever you are across our 5 counties, I talked about it some days ago. We all gave thanks at Thanksgiving time for what we have. Today we grieve for what we've lost, but we may also give thanks yet again for young men and women who you see in that image on the left, who for all of this said, it's who we want to be, it's who we are, it's how we're inspired, it's the duty that we plan to take up.
And carry out.
And be thankful that we still have people in our community who are willing to do just that. As you look back live inside the, I think, financial amphitheater. And as we look at those images, let's go to Mike Trim, who has been covering the route leading the motorcade to the, I think, Financial Center. In fact, Mike's been out here all morning long providing live reports. When I got here before sunup, Mike was already hard at work. Mike?
Hey, Michael, listen, you're at Gate 12 right now. Gate 12, you're familiar with it, Expo Center at the South Florida Fairgrounds, and just look at this scene right here. Not only do you have 3 huge flags right there, right on fire rescue ladders, but you see several motorcycle units. In fact, we just saw a whole unit of about 10 motorcycles pull out that they were from Tampa. And right here we have some sheriff's deputies right there, other motorcycle groups that are supporting these 3 deputies that lost their lives. I know you've been showing inside the amphitheater, but man, what a scene outside right here. This is where they brought those bodies, the 3 hearse, along with all the rest of the major law enforcement presence we saw across the state. Gosh, we saw every law enforcement from Marion County to Homestead and everywhere in between. Right now, these men probably preparing to go inside. They were all part of that procession. Just motorcycles lined as far as the eye can see, pretty much all the way up until that blue line flag, which the American flag rests on top of. But that's what it looks like outside here, South Florida Fairgrounds Expo Center, if you're familiar with this area. And, you know, and it's going to be an emotional scene inside. I mean, gosh, just taking a look at the clock right now, we are very, very close to this memorial starting. So I will throw it back to you, Michael and Shannon.
That image, the half-mast American flag, the blue line flag, the law enforcement flag, at half-mast, they'll remain so. The governor's executive order added on that 3rd deputy when we lost him about a week ago. As law enforcement continues to stream into the parking lot here at the South Florida Fairgrounds, you're looking on as well inside, I think, Financial Amphitheater as we prepare for the memorial service to get underway in about 3-4 minutes from now.
I had one of the veterans walking by me and just, you know, these are people who've tough. They do veteran work, but all of them today trying to throw their shoulders back. But it's hard, but they do it, and they'll get back to duty after that 10-7 call with the badge numbers at the end of this memorial service that will be called out today for these 3 fallen deputies: Luis Paez, Corporal; Ignacio Dan Diaz, Deputy; Ralph Butchwaller, Deputy, all long-serving proud motormen with PBSO, who were mortally injured on Southern Boulevard, hit by an SUV nearly 2 weeks ago as they were doing their duty and waiting for one of their broken down motor units to be fixed or taken away when they were struck by an SUV. All 3 of them were tough vets too. And all of them to a person, as you look at the images inside the, I think, Financial Amphitheater, all of the thousands we've seen, whether it was motor units, knew what they signed up for. And somehow they're able to box that away and cope with it. But today, 3 paid the price for the dangers that came with the daily job. And they and the civilians we've seen along the route today, hands over heart, have said today we'll remember that courage, that duty, more than that, the dimension of their lives that went above and beyond law enforcement to their own wonderful lives as family men, friends, dads, husbands, you name it. It's a tough day.
An unspeakable loss. And as you mentioned, as you said hello to a veteran who just walked by you, other veterans have been here, as I mentioned, doing whatever they could to fill the time to pay their respects. Many stayed here all night long preparing for this memorial event on this day so that everything would be in line, prepared to honor their friends and their colleagues gone far too soon.
One of the people with PBSO, part of the grill team. They've been out here since, I believe, since late last night.
6 o'clock last evening.
Since 6 last evening. And they said, you know what? That's the way we're going to make a difference today. when people gather in fellowship at the Expo Center, relatively near where you and I sit right now, after the services, people from law enforcement, locally of course, but also from around the nation who are gathered here, invited to be part of that fellowship, said that's how we'll serve. And among those who have paid so many respects of late, Sheriff William Snyder, Martin County. Let's listen.
One of the sensations I've always had at the numerous police funerals I've gone to is the sense of brotherhood, sisterhood, and solidarity that we in law enforcement have for each other. Although we may bicker once in a while across jurisdictional lines, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what patch you're wearing or what your badge says. If you're a cop, you're my brother.
And of course, the Martin County Sheriff's Office Honor Guard will be here, as you'll see a huge, and are seeing a huge turnout from across our Treasure Coast communities, Martin, St. Lucie, Indian River, Okeechobee counties, of course. Not only brothers and sisters behind the badge, but they work in our big 5 county community, so there's even a bond that's even that much more closely knit and special. Some of them have worked for some of those departments, and have
some of them
come
served
here.
as backup on the day of
Exactly.
the tragedy. Many
Yes.
Martin County Sheriff's deputies came right to the aid of the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office, didn't miss a beat, got
they
right
do.
on. That's right, and on this day, that badge collectively draped with that mourning band that we mentioned earlier, every one of them walking in.
You're looking again live inside the I Think Financial Center, and on the right, an American flag flying. Indeed, this entire processional route has been draped by flags flying high.
These are the civilian motormen
Yes.
who were pulling up just behind us about an hour and a half ago, Michael. Those motormen from all around, some were former military, some of them were law enforcement, retired law enforcement. I chatted with them here. They all congregated and parked their bikes, much like you saw a short time ago with the active duty law enforcement officers who were part of the procession that you spoke with. All of them here for the same reason, the same cause, to prop up this community.
And we've talked so much, sadly, about what happened. The investigation, of course, ongoing. But, you know, to a person, as you look at people watching the motorcade pass by, people in the community who took time from their day to stand by silently or with hands over heart. One image of a parent with their little child I saw earlier. You see it there. Talking to Sheriff Snyder, who you heard from a few moments ago. So listen, we train, and Sheriff Bradshaw said this. We train, we prepare, you do everything you can to be safe and to find new ways to be safer. But at the end of the day, you're out doing a job. And what did Sheriff Snyder say to us early on? You can't wrap us in saran wrap. We have to go out and do the work. In this case, 3 motormen doing their work along our roadway.
And I love your question, Michael, that you always ask of law enforcement. You asked it of Palm Beach County Sheriff Rick Bradshaw. You asked the same of Sheriff Snyder as we covered the procession that led from the hospital to PBSO last week, about a week ago. Where do you find these men and women willing to give so much of themselves? And I'll mention, and I think it's so critical, you know, we host the Law Enforcement Awards ceremonies here at WPTV each year. We stream them live where their stories are celebrated and shared, that we tell those stories, those important stories of their service and sacrifice that often go overlooked. And we ask them then, why do you do it? It is because they do feel that sense of duty. But I always point out at that ceremony each year, and law enforcement is quick to point out, we could not do it if it were not for the men and women at home, the spouses, the children, the fathers, the mothers who stand watch at home and wait for their loved one to make it home safely. And sometimes, tragically, that never happens.
So importantly said, Shannon, because for all of those out on the front lines, their families are equally on the front lines because they sacrifice so much, as you've just described, for their loved ones. They're the support team. They're the first line of love and concern and support for their husbands or wives or significant others who go out and do this work. And so that is why fellow law enforcement officers say these families are our families for life, because they're part of what makes law enforcement work, being there for their loved ones at all times. And again, to the question of why do they do it? Because there's a calling as you look at motorcycle units, and perhaps we can take a live image again and push in on some of the young men and women who told me they're part of a PBSO recruit class. And I think our photographer, Danielle, might be able to take that image for us there as we look at those young men and women who will be outside watching the service here. And they are not deterred. They say, we're here. As we push in on that image, we're here, we're recruits. We want to do the work in a very vivid, profound, tragic way. We're seeing the dangers that come from it. And yet, here we are on this day of mourning to say we're going to be part of reinforcing the law enforcement presence on our streets. It's the work that we will take an oath to do with all the attendant dangers, because we think there's value and importance to doing that work every day, to protecting you and me at home. As we look on at footage of the procession that began about 9:30 this morning on the right-hand side of your screen at the funeral home just down the way. And this is a procession that made its way. They could have come in a very direct route, Shannon, but they wanted a chance. By happenstance, the proximity of the Palms West Funeral Home is not that far from here. That's just by pure happenstance. But because of that, PBSO felt strongly that they wanted motorcycle men to have a chance. They wanted the community to have a chance, and you've seen it, to stand by and see who they are, what they're about, the strength of their resolve, of their support. And so they took a route. If you live in Palm Beach County, you'll know it, out of Palm West, down State Road 7 to Southern Boulevard, over to Crestwood, Boulevard, up to Okeechobee, back and around, about what added up to about a 10-mile route. And you saw so many people lining those streets, standing by, paying their respects. And at the end, that said so much about community that no words can give justice to.
That was intentional, planned by PBSO.
Absolutely.
Members of the community participated in that, but also the family's wishes that they would be the ones closest to their loved ones, closest to those hearses, and that the motormen would be flanking the hearses as well, as they made that rectangular loop, if you will, of the Western communities that they served for decades.
And you're looking at live images of the flag, and just one of many American flags that has flown along this route this day. Images of the deputies, Luis Paez, a corporal, 36 years with PBSO, Deputy Ignacio Dan Diaz. 2014, he joined the PBSO motor unit, but began in law enforcement in 1996 in Palm Springs. Dual certified, as you said, Shannon, police officer and firefighter when he came aboard. And Deputy Ralph Butch Waller started law enforcement work in Polk County August 1996, and then came to Palm Beach County, Royal Palm Beach 2 years after that. He'd be there 8 years, and many of you will remember when 2006 Royal Palm Beach merged with PBSO, and he kept right on doing the work he loved as a motorman for so many years. Seasoned veterans who loved the work, who knew the job, who knew how to do it very, very well, who worked providing traffic safety and worked dignitary details as well. They were among the best of what they do, and their colleagues from around the nation, motormen all, not just motormen, but so many motormen have come from around our country, from Virginia and New Jersey and in Florida, from Key West to Okeechobee County, every city imaginable across our state to pay respects as you look inside the, I think, financial amphitheater and at the American flag flying outside.
And as we are just moments away from that memorial service beginning, I have loved the detail and watching it unfold out here in the parking lot as well, Michael, that they were anticipating this tremendous turnout. Thousands expected inside the amphitheater, but many more coming here wanting to get in, but perhaps cannot get a seat. And so there is this overflow space. Our camera here, not far from us, videotaping some of that, a video running out here in the parking lot for those who have come by, who wish to participate, but perhaps cannot find a space inside the memorial service. And many have done just that. The motormen are part of that service out here, this memorial, as we are watching that video play. And then you have the grill team, as we mentioned, just behind them, prepping the expo center.
For thousands who will gather for a meal and
of
fellowship.
Chairs prepared. They started cooking. They said the pork at 6 o'clock last night, 22,000 pounds of pork and hamburgers and hot dogs, beans, coleslaw. They'll have fellowship. After this memorial service, they will host this entire community, the law enforcement community, the family members who choose to participate. They will all be here on the grounds inside the expo center. And those deputies, those sheriff's deputies, who serve in other units say, last night, our duty, our gift, our call was to stay up all night preparing that food as a tribute to these three men.
Whether it's that work, the work to raise thousands to help the families of the fallen, or the work of a little boy who ran a lemonade stand that's helped raise enough money for tuition for one of the children for at least the next 4 or 5 months. A community coming together this day, and in fellowship they'll gather. Yes, in grief, but also in fellowship, and they'll have a great meal and feed the hunger that they all have for a moment to gather shoulder to shoulder and be with one another as we come out live here for just a moment to our location here. And as we're live here, Shannon, you and I on camera right now, the scene behind us as we pull out just a little bit in our shot as we look on the, I think, financial amphitheater just behind us where thousands have gathered, and outside many hundreds if not thousands more on the South Florida Fairgrounds site this day.
It was an unbelievable moment to see the law enforcement community arriving today. And as we got here in the early morning hours in preparation for this memorial, as you look on, I believe we're in a split screen as well, looking inside, I think, financial. The preparations underway, and I watched you witness the unfurling of the American flag and the law enforcement flag now behind us, just outside the amphitheater, flying at half-mast. And it was a moment to watch you witness it, frankly, Michael, and watch this community prepare for this service ahead.
It's often said at services of this enormity, there is a ritual, a procession of grief. But within that procession, within that grief, also symbols of strength, of unity, of determination, of love, of outreach, of speaking to the commitment that these people showed, speaking to the oath that they took, to the flag that they ultimately served under, to the families that they loved. And so the symbolism is so profound, it does matter. It's why they wanted to make sure the community could see 1,000 motormen, maybe more. I've lost count, but more than I perhaps have ever seen, or certainly as many. But there's symbolism to that. It speaks to the unity of law enforcement. When you see motorcycle units that have come here, been shipped here from Fairfax County, Virginia, from Newark, New Jersey, from all over the state of Florida, when people say, yes, we want the community to see and understand and grieve with us, and to know the dimensions of their lives within law enforcement and their lives without, with their families, their friends, who said they all had infectious smiles and were great parts of their community, certainly wearing the badge, but also when they were off duty. Although as a law enforcement officer, you're never really off duty, as they will tell you. But so that symbolism today that you've witnessed at home is part of the powerful message being sent about a law enforcement community that is broken-hearted but not broken, about a community that grieves but is not broken, about families that have grief that is too private and deep for any of us to put words to, but there is at least hope that they will understand in this gathering that they'll have support for a lifetime, the families of these three fallen deputies.
This is the moment that law enforcement locks arm in arm with our community, and we stand shoulder to shoulder with our law enforcement heroes. And as you have spoken with many veteran law enforcement officers who've arrived today, I had a moment with one gentleman who was helping set up as well, and he said, Shannon, we're hurting very deeply.
We are told Governor Ron DeSantis, I believe you can see the image, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is on stage, according to the program here, certainly to offer all of his support to the families. He is not, at least according to the program, set to speak, but wanted to be here in support. And President-elect Donald Trump also on stage inside the, I think, financial amphitheater. President-elect Donald Trump, seeing images of the president-elect as well on stage.
If we could.
As we're trying to see the images from our screen here, but we are told Eric Trump, I believe my producer is telling me, is on stage as well, the president's son, Eric Trump there. Sheriff Rick Bradshaw had told me that days ago, the president-elect had called to offer his condolences. The vice president-elect, J.D. Vance, according to the sheriff, and at that point, Attorney General nominee Pam Bondi, the Florida Attorney General, also there. But he spoke with the president-elect, who briefly offered his condolences on the loss of these three motormen who at times served as dignitaries for the then nominee, now president-elect's motorcade. So they did everything from dignitary duty to that. Again, the Ashley Moody, the current Florida Attorney General, sitting there on stage. And again,
proposed U.S. Attorney General.
Well, Ashley Moody, the Florida Attorney General, Pam Bondi, of course, the U.S. Attorney General nominee. Do not see her there today, but was part of that call.
Right.
And again, you see Governor Ron DeSantis there, and President-elect Donald Trump, I believe, to the far left, behind the protective glass there. Of course, security amped up, and I believe the service is set to begin as we begin to see law enforcement rising.
Let's listen in.
Please be seated. Well, good morning. My name is Major Ron Matino, and on behalf of Sheriff Rick Bradshaw, the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office, the Paez family, the Waller family, and the Diaz family, I would like to thank you all for being here today as we honor these three warriors. I would also like to thank President Trump, Congressman Brian Mast, Governor Ron DeSantis, Lieutenant Governor Jeanette Nunez, and Attorney General Ashley Moody, and of course our Sheriff Rick Bradshaw for being here today. I would also like to thank our elected officials, all of our law enforcement partners, our fire partners, for coming out to honor these three heroes. Lastly, we couldn't have done this without Joe Neiman and the Live Nation staff, Matt Wallsmith in the South Florida Fairgrounds, and Christ Fellowship Church for helping us with all of our services and providing our music for us here today. Before we begin our memorial, I would like to tell you a little bit about these three men, starting with Corporal Louis Paez, Motor 4. Corporal Paez dedicated 36 years of his life to the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office. He began his career in 1988. His journey in law enforcement started as a road patrol deputy out in District 5, our Belglade substation, and at the PBIA Airport District. In 2002, Deputy Paez joined the Vehicular Homicide Unit before finding his true calling as a motorman. Throughout 2 decades in the motor unit, Deputy Paez became a cornerstone of the department, patrolling Palm Beach County's roads and training fellow motor deputies. His colleagues remember his patience, his kindness, and extensive knowledge, which helped shape the careers of many who followed in his footsteps. He is survived by his son Cameron and many more family members. He will be truly missed. Deputy Ignacio Dan Diaz, known to us as Motor 18. Deputy Diaz began his law enforcement career in 1996 with the Palm Springs Police Department, where he served as a dual certified police officer and firefighter and became the department's first motorcycle officer. In 2004, he joined the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office, working as a deputy sheriff in various districts before transferring to the DUI unit in 2008, where he earned multiple DUI awards. In 2014, he joined the PBSO unit, known for his tenacity and skill as a motorcycle deputy. Dan will be remembered for his laugh, his kindness, dedication to helping others. He is survived by his daughter, Alex, mother, Bertha, sisters and family, his love, Sharishka, and children, Nahala and Kadeen. He was preceded in death by his father, Ignacio Daniel Diaz. Deputy Ralph Butch Waller, known to us as Motor 7. Deputy Waller started his law enforcement career when he graduated the Law Enforcement Academy in Polk County in August 1996. In June of 1998, he began his career in Palm Beach County as a member of the Royal Palm Beach Police Department, where he spent the next 8 years as a law enforcement officer and a motorcycle officer. On October 1st, 2006, the Royal Palm Beach Police Department merged with the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office. Butch, who loved being a motorman, continued his love as a motorcycle deputy sheriff assigned to District 9 in Royal Palm Beach. For more than 26 years, Deputy Waller was known for his infectious smile, helping others, those in need, and was a friend to everyone. He is survived by his lovely wife, Denise, his father, Ralph, his sister, Tanya, family and friends. He will be truly missed. Sorry, guys. I'd like to introduce Pastor Tom Mullins from Christ Fellowship Church to do our invocation for us.
Let us pray. Our most kind and gracious Heavenly Father, we reach out to you in this hour of our loss and our pain. And we're reminded of the Holy Scriptures that tell us that you are close to those that are brokenhearted. You are a refuge in time of our trouble. And Lord, we seek your presence today. Come with a supernatural comfort that only can come from your heart as you wrap your loving arms around the family and all of the extended family as we grieve this time of our loss. But we know, God, that you are more than sufficient. Your grace is sufficient. Your mercy is ever renewed every day. And we pray for your strength to be with us today as we honor the ones that we have lost and loved so dear. We pray all of this in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
In awesome wonder, consider all the worlds thy hands have made. I see the stars, I hear the rolling thunder, thy power throughout the universe displayed. Sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. And when I think that God his Son not sparing sent him to die, I scarce can take it in, that on the cross, my burden gladly bearing, he bled and died to take away my sin. So sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. Yes, how great thou art, how great thou art. O Christ shall come with shout of acclamation and take me home. What joy shall fill my heart? Then I shall bow in humble adoration and there proclaim, my God, how great you are. And sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art.
Would like to introduce Congressman Brian Mast.
Corporal Paez, Deputy Waller, and Deputy Diaz. I knew them. We met at Veterans Day parades and along motorcade routes. We shared the road as we fired up our Harleys on motorcycle runs. And we shared sanctuaries in churches with many of you as we honored the lives of friends who had ended their watch. I cannot pretend that I knew them well, but they were always present, always on watch, because it was their calling to protect every person in this community from danger, even those of us that they barely knew. Nothing could be more selfless. They knew full well the hazards of their chosen profession, patrolling inches from death all day, every day. Yet they never stood down, never asked that another be sent forward instead of them. Because for their lives, courage was as natural as breathing. The scripture says in 2 Timothy, the Spirit God gave us does not make us timid, but gives us power, love, and self-discipline. Corporal Paez, Deputy Waller, and Deputy Diaz, they were not timid. They were lions. They rode each day with a badge, body armor, and a pistol to keep everyone safe. I thank God for these men. I thank God for each of your families for sharing these patriots with us. I thank God for their love of our community. And I thank God for their dedication to duty, which they made more important than life itself.
Thank you, Congressman Mast. I'd like to introduce, on behalf of the Paez family, Major Paul Vercoda and Corporal Thomas Daig.
Louis Paez Jr. was born on November 7, 1966, in Lafayette, Indiana. His family soon moved to Florida, and he attended elementary, middle, and high school in West Palm Beach, graduating from Forest Hill High School in 1985. He applied to the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office in September of 1987 and was hired as a corrections recruit on January 11, 1988. He eventually attended the Corrections Crossover Academy, earned his law enforcement certificate, and transferred to the Patrol Division in 1998. After completing the law enforcement FTO program, he was assigned to District 5, where he worked as a patrol deputy until being selected for a position in the motor unit in February of 2001. I first met Louis when he was in field training in 1998, and our paths crossed a few more times until I transferred to the motor unit in 2003. Louis was an experienced and respected member of the motor unit at this point, and he quickly took me under his wing and helped me find my way as a new sergeant in the unit. Through this transition in the motor unit, we developed a mutual respect for each other and became more than just co-workers in the same unit. We became friends, and Louis was one of my best friends. I stayed in the motor unit for approximately 6 years, and Louis and I rode together just about every day. As a rider, he was smooth, steady, confident, and safe. He was very intuitive and seemed to know what you were going to do before you even did it. He was the guy you wanted as your wingman. Louis was a dedicated member of the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office for over 36 years, but he was a lot more than that. His chosen profession did not define him as a person. He had passions and hobbies. Beyond his PBSO career, and he was really looking forward to the day when he could retire and pursue those passions full time. He loved his family and friends. He loved photography and nature, and he also loved motorcycles and travel. By the time Louis and I started working together in the motor unit, I had already taken a cross-country motorcycle trip out to Wyoming and Montana and had begun to share stories with him about that journey. He was genuinely interested in these stories. These stories became a frequent topic of our conversations until one day I suggested we take a trip out there together. We each went home that night and discussed the idea with our wives at the time, and we made the decision to do it. We started planning the first of what became many cross-country road trips on motorcycles together. We have traveled to the Grand Canyon, Death Valley, the Pacific Coast Highway, Yellowstone and Grand Teton National Parks, the Canadian Rockies all the way to the Jasper Ice Fields, and many points in between. I would estimate that we share nearly 100,000 miles riding together, next to each other between work and travel. He was an exceptional wingman and travel partner. We were very compatible when we traveled together, and we seemed to be able to agree on just about everything, from the distance we wanted to ride that day, which frequently was close to 1,000 miles, just to get us out of or back into the flat, straight roads of Florida, or the hotel we would stay at night. He wanted to know if they had a gym, and I wanted to know if they had a bar. But it worked because we could usually find a hotel with both. We often pushed ourselves on the road to get more highway miles behind us in order to spend more enjoyable time at our destination. Louis was also a great teacher and a very talented motorcycle instructor. He was patient and able to easily spot mistakes riders would make and help to quickly correct them. The unit instructors each had different strengths, and Lewis was very good at explaining the principles of countersteering as it applies to motorcycles and crash avoidance. His instruction has helped countless riders avoid crashes and injuries. One such example is explained in a commendation letter I found in his personnel file that was written by a Boynton Beach police officer on April 15th of 2008, and he had recently completed a motorcycle operator course where Lewis was one of the instructors. An excerpt of the letter reads as follows. On April 15th, 2008, a short 30 days after completing the course, my training was put to the test. While initiating a stop on a violator in the 3400 block of Old Boynton Road, a vehicle entered the lane I occupied and approached my police motor head-on. With the vehicle closing on me, I was able to apply the SIPTE principle and choose the best of three available options. And I quote, pushed right and went right, end quote, and executed an evasive maneuver which took me out of the direct path of the oncoming vehicle. I narrowly avoided being struck head-on, and the vehicle struck only a glancing blow to the left engine guard and floorboard, but I did not go down. The result was a fracture to my left foot and minor damages to the motor and the involved vehicle. Each of you should know that the work of these instructors has saved the life of a fellow officer, a husband, a father, and a son. My loved ones, our respective agencies, and our extended law enforcement families have been spared the pain of what could have happened. I am grateful to each of these men, and I wish to commend them on a job well done. I will continue to ride and hope that there will come a day that I can respond in kind. Lewis touched so many lives in a positive way. He was truly an angel on earth. To paraphrase a quote from the late Ronald Reagan when he referred to the United States Marines, quote, "Some people spend an entire lifetime wondering if they made a difference in the world. The Marines don't have that problem." Neither did Luis Paez. The event that took Lewis from us has no reasonable explanation for why it happened. To try and search for one is simply wasted energy. It is times like these that remind us how fragile life is and how fortunate we are to have had friends like Lewis and how fortunate we are to have been able to share good times together and good memories. We will hold those memories for the rest of our days, and Lewis will live on through those memories. Sheriff Bradshaw said it best on the day of the tragedy, that when a law enforcement officer dies, a part of the community dies with him. It has been said that November 21st, 2024 was the darkest day in the history of the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office, and I cannot disagree. I do believe there is some good that is associated with this dark day, however, and that good is the outpouring of support from the community, our PBSO co-workers, and our fellow first responders and surrounding agencies. I know Lewis would want me to especially thank the PBSO deputies that were the first to arrive on the scene that day and the responding stations from Palm Beach County Fire Rescue. I know that all of you did everything that was humanly possible to help the 3 injured motormen, and for that we are all grateful. I would also like to thank the staff at St. Mary's Hospital for their exceptional response and support. As an agency, we got knocked down that day, but we didn't get knocked out, and we will get back up, and we will be stronger together. We will get through this with the continued support from all of you. Lewis, we love you and we will miss you. Ride hard and rest easy, and may God bless us all. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Tom Dagg. I'm a corporal in the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office Motor Unit. I've been with the agency for 21 years, and for 14 of those years, Lou was my partner. Before I start, I just want to say I want to give a heartfelt thank you to the Broward County Sheriff's Office Motor Unit. They have been with us from day one, and we are forever grateful. Thank you very much. I met Lou back in 1999 when he and I were both attending our first police motorcycle operator class together. I worked for a local police department, and Lou worked for the sheriff's office. For those of you that don't know, the police motorcycle class is extremely difficult. Learning how to ride the bike is both physically and mentally demanding, and typically only about half of the class will pass. Many drop out due to injuries, the realization that the endeavor is not for them, or failing the final riding exam. Lou ended up injuring his shoulder the second week of school, and our class thought for sure he was going to give up and drop out of class. As you can imagine, riding the motorcycle requires a lot of pushing and pulling of the handlebars, which with a shoulder injury is almost nearly impossible. In typical Lou fashion, he persevered through the pain, and we both ultimately graduated from that class. When I was finally able to get hired at Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office and then get back into the motor unit, I knew who I wanted to ride with, Lou. It took a few years, but Lou and I were finally able to partner up. Lou was also the senior motor unit instructor. When I made instructor, it was a dream come true to be able to work with Lou in this capacity as well. Lou had a remarkable teaching style, an incredible ability to connect with people. Teaching motor school requires a lot of patience and discipline, qualities that Lou embodied. I feel so privileged to have learned from him. He molded our motor unit instructors into a fantastic team, and together with our fellow instructors, Lou and I took great pride in our motor school's reputation. Our motor unit has approximately 30 deputies in it. Recently, I brought to Lou's attention that except for a few deputies, we had trained every single person in our unit. Lou was proud of that, although I think it made both of us feel a little bit old. As we move forward, I know that we will honor Lou's legacy in our motor unit. We'll continue to uphold the high standards he set for us, ensuring that every officer we train embodies the patience, discipline, and dedication that Lou exemplified. Lou was also an avid photographer. He attended numerous photography classes, and this will be a joke for his photography friends out there. Lewis had nearly every single piece of photography equipment ever made. So much so that professional photographers often noted he owned more gear as a hobbyist than they did as a full-time professional. When he retired, Lou wanted to go into photography full-time and open his own studio. We often joked around that he would probably make more money with this as he had as a cop. Lastly, Lou loved his family and was very proud of his son, Cameron. I have a son a few years older than Cameron. And there was barely a day that went by we didn't talk about one of them. As time passes, it's still difficult to comprehend Lou's absence. The only two thoughts I can reconcile are first, the man upstairs must be having trouble with his Nikon camera and needs some pointers. And secondly, and the more probable one, is that the good Lord himself must have just bought a big Harley Davidson and needs help learning how to ride it. Rest in peace, partner. Love you.
Speaking on behalf of the Waller family, I'd like to invite up Deputy Chris Farron and Deputy Tim McCarthy.
Hello, my name is Deputy Chris Farron with the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office. Butch and I were best friends. On behalf of the Waller family, the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office, and the other families, we'd like to take this opportunity to thank you very much for coming from far and near to today's somber event. I would also like to thank President Trump, Governor DeSantis, and Congressman Mass, and all other dignitaries that came today. I first met Butch in 1996. We were in the police academy together. The day we did orientation, I'll never forget it. I was sitting in the second row. Butch was sitting in the first row. He used to wear these Poindexter glasses, his Ralph Lauren neatly pressed shirt and slacks with his hands clenched together, looking forward. And I said to a friend of mine that I went to the academy with, we're going to have problems with that guy right there. He just looked and said, we're going to have problems. Well, after the first few days of the academy started, we quickly realized that we both had the same sense of humor, like to twist words around, and we were both sarcastic. And when you know it, we became fast friends during the academy. After we graduated the academy in August of 1996, we always stayed in touch. In November of 1996, I became an officer at Royal Palm Beach Police Department. During this time, Butch still lived in Lakeland and worked at Publix. About a year and a half after we graduated, I called Butch and I suggested he come along for a couple ride-alongs to see if he might like what we do and he possibly would pursue another career. He came down and he fell in love with it, and he applied at Royal Palm Beach Police Department. In 1998, in June, he was hired by Royal Palm Beach Police Department, and we were working together again. Once he was in Royal Palm Beach, and we spent a lot more time together, we became best friends. You know, everybody has a best friend, has a friend that they call their best friend. Well, you only truly really have one best friend, and that was Butch and I. We could tell each other anything. We had no secrets. We went through a lot together. We went through divorces, family deaths, and many other difficult times. And we had many, many funny and fun times together. And we were always there to support each other. We talked about everything. Nothing was off limits. There was absolutely no secrets between Butch and I. And now Butch has taken my secrets, unfortunately, to his grave, and I will be doing the same for him. I remember the first time he told me he was seeing Denise, his beautiful wife. I said, how did you meet her? He said several years back when he was in training at Royal Palm, his FTO brought him over to Ewing Optical to meet Bobby Ewing. Well, Denise worked there. And he told me there was something in the back of his mind, something grabbed him about Denise. So he didn't know what it was, but it was always in the back of his mind. Well, several years later, after he got divorced, I found out he would just go by Ewing Optical just to buy glasses that he didn't need to buy. He would go and get adjustments on the glasses, so he didn't even need adjustments. He just wanted to see Denise, and that was his way to go and see Denise. So eventually they started dating. As things got more developed, he told me he was going to marry her. I was excited for both of them. I've known Butch since 1996, and Denise brought the best out of him. He was a total different person in a very good way. And you could just feel the love between them. Denise, I want you to know that Butch loved you more than life itself, and you were his princess. I remember when he started going to church with you, and he wanted to convert to be a Catholic. Did he struggle with it? Yeah, he struggled with it. But he was determined to learn everything he could about the faith and about being the best husband he could be to you. Butch had a heart of gold. He would do anything for anybody, except on weekends. If I called him, he would say, I got to ask Denise if we're going to church on Saturday or Sunday and what time. After Mass is over, we can do whatever you want. But I need to be home early enough to take care of the animals and start shoveling the, we'll call it poo. But he fully embraced the Catholic faith wholeheartedly, and I'm sure he was welcomed with open arms. I have a story about our lunches. I was lucky enough to go to lunch with him and the other martyr guys a lot. We'd make plans for lunch, and we'd wait for Butch, and we'd wait for him, and we'd wait for him. It got so bad we had to start ordering lunch without him, because we'd never get lunch. We'd text him, and he'd say, oh, I'm sorry, I lost track of time, I was talking to someone. And lo and behold, on the way to lunch, he would make a traffic stop and write a ticket. He would get to lunch and tell us a story about the guy that he wrote the ticket to and how they exchanged phone numbers at the end of the traffic stop. I don't know how he did it, but he always did it. And we cannot forget about his sweet wife, Denise. She joined us every day for lunch, every single day. Yes, Denise, you joined us every day by telephone. It never failed. As soon as Butch's food would be put down in front of him, his phone would ring. He'd always answer his phone and say, hello, my princess, how are you doing today? He always answered her phone call. He never, ever kicked you to voicemail. It didn't matter how many of us were sitting there, and it didn't matter whether we were having a serious conversation or just jerking around. Let's be honest, most of the time we were jerking around. But he always answered your call, and no matter what you wanted to talk about, no matter how long you wanted to talk, Butch listened while his food got cold in front of him. He would always tell you he loved you, and he would see you when you got home, and he'd hang up the phone and eat his cold lunch and never, ever complain about it. Well, as all cops do, we made fun of him for that, and he'd make fun of himself as well. But nothing was more important to him than you. That is one thing I was always jealous of Butch for. You were above us. I have always put my work above my family and myself. Butch somehow found that balance that I have never found. Denise, you were his priority. Along with the story about the traffic stops during lunch, I'd like to read a letter that was sent to Captain Arahu when he was a captain. He's now major, no colonel. This is dated from February 4th, 2007. I wanted to take this time out of my hectic schedule and write this letter of appreciation to you in regards to Deputy Waller. On Thursday, January 20th, 2007, I was pulled over by Deputy Waller. Although this was not my first traffic citation, it was the first time I have dealt with such professionalism. Deputy Waller treated me with respect and made getting a traffic citation as pleasant as possible. He did not talk down to me as I were a child, but explained that my actions were wrong and proceeded to issue the citation with a complete explanation of his options. I would have imagined that motorists and people that are pulled over are good individuals, and Deputy Waller understands that. I think he would make an outstanding trainer or writing and communication with the public. Thank you for your time, Mr. Castro of Wellington. That's just the kind of guy Butch was. He would do anything, he could do anything, he could fix anything. you'll hear hundreds of stories about Butch. He loved to joke around, twist words around, pick on people, and I was right there with him. We had no limits. We were like Don Rickles. Everything was free game. We made fun of each other, fun of ourselves. That was the best times when we made fun of each other. We'd finish each other's sentences. We'd say the same exact sarcastic remark at the same time. Mr. President, Butch felt honored, very honored, to be able to escort you to all your various locations through the years from 2016 to 2020 and when you came back. And this is for Butch, something he would say. I've always looked up to President Butch, or President Trump. I always looked up to President Trump. And we do have a photograph of that. But then he would say, I have to look up to sixth graders too, because I'm so short. So Butch was truly an incredible person, and everybody in Royal Palm Beach knew him. Butch was truly my best friend, and I'm going to miss him tremendously. Until we meet again, my friend, rest in peace, and thank you.
Hi, good morning. My name is Tim McCarthy, and I've been with the motor unit for 7 years. Standing here today, I'm filled with a mix of heartbreak and gratitude. Heartbreak because we've lost 3 incredible men, Butch, Lou, and Dan. Men who meant so much to this unit and to me personally. Gratitude because I had the honor of knowing them, learning from them, and calling them my friends. These 3 men were more than just colleagues to us. They were our family. Butch was the kindest, gentlest person I have ever met. His smile would light up a room. If any of us were ever feeling a little low, Butch would come over and tell us one of his quirky jokes with that funny little accent of his that nobody could quite put their finger on. But he had a charm that made you feel like you were the most important person in the world as he was talking to you. I first met Dan in the early 2000s, back when I was a street cop in Lake Worth. Dan was a motor cop for Palm Springs. And from the moment he started hanging out with us, he brought an energy that was unforgettable. Dan would roll in wearing his freshly pressed white shirt, always looking sharp, always squared away. But it wasn't just the crisp white uniform that left an impression, it was Dan himself. Years later, when I joined the motor unit, it didn't take long for me to see that Dan still had that same uncanny ability to make everybody laugh. He'd always say to me, "Boo-boo, this is the best unit in the sheriff's department." And when Dan said it, you believed it, not just because of his words, but because of the pride that he carried with himself every day. And then there was Lou. Lou had a heart so big it seemed to spill over into everything he did. He was always looking out for everyone around him, whether it was lending an ear, offering support, or just being that steady presence on the pad during our training days or motor schools. Lou embodied what it meant to truly care for others. And for all of us that went through motor school, we can still hear him now. Head and eyes, power, power, power. I told this to my unit last week. I had been looking forward to Lou's retirement party in just a few short months from now. I had a speech planned in my head, one that I thought I'd give surrounded by laughter, some cool stories, and some camaraderie. I wanted to tell Lou, how much he meant to me. And how grateful I was for his mentorship, and how he's the reason I'm even on this unit. Lou was an incredible teacher and instructor. He taught me more than motorcycle skills. He taught me about integrity, kindness, and the importance of showing up for each other. But now I'll never be able to give that speech And that's heartbreaking. And it's a painful reminder that we should never wait to tell the people in our lives how much they mean to us. So please, today, tomorrow, every chance you get, tell the people in your lives, tell the people that you love, that you care about them, how much they mean to you, and that they matter. To my team, I'll say it again. It's an honor and a privilege to work alongside you guys every day. I love all of you, and I'm grateful for the bonds that we share. I don't believe this is the end for Butch, Dan, or Lou. Their spirits, their energy, their essence, they live on. I truly believe that when we leave this physical world, we don't disappear. We remain connected to those whose lives we've touched. I know that Butch is out there somewhere where his laughter still echoes and his smile still warms hearts. Dan still has that big cigar in his mouth, standing there larger than life with that big, beautiful smile behind the smoke. It fit him so well, just like that crisp white shirt that he always wore. And Lou is hiking the trails of Wyoming, camera in hand, capturing the beauty of nature, just as he always loved to do. They may not be physically here, but their presence is all around us, in our memories, in the lessons they taught us, and in the love that they left behind. So let's honor their lives by living as they did. Let's smile a little brighter, laugh a little louder, and care a little deeper. And above all, let's keep their spirits alive by carrying forward the best parts of them in our own lives. Rest easy, Butch, Dan, and Lou. You'll always be there with us. Every step we take and every mile we ride.
Speaking on behalf of the Diaz family, Alexandria Diaz and Eric Cabello.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Alexandria Diaz. I was Deputy Ignacio Dan Diaz's daughter. Not was, I am. Not sure how well I'm going to keep my composure during this speech, but here I am. First and foremost, I would like to acknowledge the Paez and Waller family throughout this tragedy that we've all experienced together. We got to meet for the first time this morning, and it was an instant camaraderie and just connection between the pain that we've all felt this week. Secondly, I would like to acknowledge the law enforcement and organizations who have been here throughout the week, supporting me and my family, as well as the Paez and Waller families. I would like to start with Sergeant Scott Yoder. I've known Sergeant Scott Yoder my entire life. He has been a pillar to my family this week. He has been managing all 3 families, running around like crazy, and yet still keeping a smile on his face, cracking jokes, and making everyone feel good. I would also like to give a special shout out to Deputy Dave Verone. Dave Verone has been another pillar for our families this week, offering any help that we needed at any time of the day, calling every single day to see how we all were doing. I would like to thank PBSO as well as the Broward County Sheriff's Office, who have been there since day one. They actually escorted me from Fort Lauderdale Airport all the way to St. Mary's to see my dad in the hospital. Growing up as a child of a law enforcement officer, as well as anyone who's in the life of a law enforcement officer, we all have the worst nightmare, the call, the knock on the door, but nothing quite prepares you for the day that it actually comes. Last Thursday, it was my grandmother's birthday. I woke up to wish her a happy birthday, and the next call I got was a call that I had to get on the plane immediately because my dad had been in an accident. Naively, I was told he was in surgery, and I thought that I was going to be coming into a hospital with him waking up and being able to talk to him. Sadly, that was not the case. Nothing prepares you for these moments. Nothing prepares you for what that's going to feel like. During this time, I've been told by many people to be strong. My strength has always come from my dad. My dad has been my strength my whole life. He's a single father. It's been him and I my entire life. So throughout this week, I've just been channeling him, thinking of him and the things that he would want me to do. I was actually offered to not speak today, and I thought of my dad and how he would tell me to not give up and to go ahead with it and not be scared and face my fears and go along with it. Another common theme of the week is people asking how I'm doing. That's been a hard question to answer. Usually, you would answer with the nicety of, I'm doing well, how are you? This week, I haven't been able to say that to, I think, a single person, even though I've tried. I think the best answer that I've managed is, I'm doing. That's it. I want to tell you a little bit about my dad, even though people have already spoken about him. My dad was born on March 26, 1973, in Catalina de Guines, Cuba. He grew up on a small farm until 1980, when he came here on the Mariel boat lift with his 2 sisters and his mother. Our family is very small and very tight-knit. My dad always had a passion for law enforcement. Since he was 6 years old, he's always wanted to be a police officer. Shortly after graduating high school, he went to the academy. He graduated in 1996, where he soon after became hired with Palm Springs Police Department. He then became the first motorman for Palm Springs Police Department and paved the way for their motor unit. Shortly after that, he was hired with PBSO. He was so excited. He did road patrol there from about 2004 to 2008 in District 3. He then moved on to DUI, where he thrived. He received MAD awards every year. If you're not familiar, MAD awards are Mothers Against Drunk Driving. It means that you make over 100 DUI arrests every year, and my dad got one every single year. Every day he'd come home from work, and I'd ask him what his new number was. He would update me. At the beginning of the year, it would start with 1 to 10. By the end of the year, it would always be over at 100. In 2014, my dad went back to his roots and joined the motor unit at PBSO once more. He thrived there. He was amazing. He was known for his skill and his tenacity, his precision. He would send me videos all the time of him at motor school, doing the courses, doing the tightest turns with the cones. I didn't really get it at the time. But now seeing it in action, seeing the escorts in action, it's amazing what these men do. A little more about my dad is he was an amazing cook. He made a mean chili, he made great scallops, and he loved a sweet treat. He was a lover of animals of all sizes, from the smallest little frog to a big scary snake. He loved them all. His dream was to retire, go somewhere with Shariska in the mountains or somewhere, and have a small farm again. My dad was kind, so kind he never used the word hate. He would always tell me, don't say hate, say you dislike something. He said that hate was a nasty word and that it filled your heart with evil intentions. He was fiercely loyal to everyone in his life, to me throughout my entire life, to all of his friends. He was very honest, so honest that you would really have to know if you wanted to go to him for advice, because he was not sugarcoating anything. He was funny, insanely funny. He could make anyone laugh. He gave everyone a silly nickname. As I already mentioned, a lot of boo-boos are in the room. A lot of girls are in the room. Another thing about my dad that I think I'll take with me forever is that he never accepted failure as an option. My dad could try something a million times. He wouldn't stop until he succeeded. He would carry that on with me. He would never let me give up on something until I succeeded. He persevered no matter what. And that was something that I always admired about him, was his strength, his perseverance, his ability to never give up. After the passing of one of his best friends, Donovan Burry, which I believe his family is in the room with us here today, something in my dad switched. He became a firm believer of how life was so short. He really took advantage of every single day. And every day he would say something like, if something happens to me, and I would tell him, stop talking about that, please. Never in my life did I think that I would have to be standing here in front of all of you today giving a speech about my dad. Never in my life did I think that I would have the week that I've had, to have to make the decisions that I've had to make at 24 years old on behalf of my dad. My dad treated every day like it was his last. He loved getting on that bike every day. Coincidentally, this was his favorite time of year because it wasn't hot. He loved getting on the motorcycle on these days. I would also like to thank President Trump for being here today. He took great pride in being part of your motorcade whenever you were in Palm Beach. He loved it. He always talked about it, and he always looked forward to it. I would like to leave you guys with some words today that I think my dad would carry on and want to carry on, and that's that life is short. Treat every day as if it's your last. Tell your loved ones that you love them every single day. Don't sweat the small stuff, and never accept failure as an option. And to my dad, to my daddy, we had a saying that we said to each other my entire life, and I've said it throughout this entire week, to him while he was in the ICU and at his private service. I would love you. You're my life. You're my world. You're my everything. Thank you, everyone, for your time today.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Eric Caballero. I was Deputy Dan Diaz's oldest nephew, but he felt like more than an uncle to me. He treated me like an older brother since before I can remember. He was always there for me. I want to start acknowledging both the Waller and the Paez family. I know we're all on the same boat, and it's a sad boat, but thanks to the PBSO, Sheriff Bradshaw, thank you guys for everything. Getting to the hospital, being constantly surrounded by everyone and everything that we could possibly need to try to get through these tough times. It meant the world to my family, and I'm sure words can't describe it. Thank you, President Trump. My uncle, I always got a picture of him with you, no matter what motorcade it was, no matter where it was. He made it a point to send it out to me, and he truly respected you. And thank you to the community itself for the outpouring that we've had. I've had friends, colleagues, people I've never met before, just knowing that it was my uncle, that it was Alexandria's father, just reaching out, offering, whether it's a prayer, we're lighting a candle, we're going to be there for you. It shows the lives that he touched, both as just the man and as PBSO. I took a while at the hospital there the entire time, and I surrounded myself with the good. I didn't try to dwell too much on the negative and what was incoming. I used it as a blanket of all the good that I had from him, from he treating me like a little brother to he gave me my first Nintendo when I was 5 years old because he was playing it and he's like, I guess you can have it now. So he should have been studying for his exams and he was doing that instead. Whether it was going to my school lunches when I was 5, 6, 7 years old, up through middle school. He hated the school lunches, but he'd sit there with me because he knew showing up in full uniform put a smile on my face. Every honor roll breakfast, he was there just to make a scene. He had to show up in his crisp white just to know that I was there, and he'd stick out in the crowd and it put a smile on my face that I'll never forget to this day. He got me into, like they mentioned, into cigars, and he got me my first set, showed me how to smoke a cigar. I used to smoke cigars thinking of him, and that won't change moving forward. I had one the other night just for him, just thinking about him yelling at me like your mom would hate me for getting you into this, but it's something that I'll carry on 100% through my life. Then there was the birth of Alex, and I remember the look on his face and the pride that he had, but also him pulling me to the side and going, this doesn't change anything, you're still my boy. And he treated me the same. He took us both everywhere. And it was like having a second father. It was like having a brother I didn't have. I was an only child. And that really sticks out to me, introducing him to my friends saying, you know what, I kind of see where you get your sense of humor from. And it's Danny. His sense of humor was a one-of-one, just like him in general. The word proud wouldn't begin to describe what I thought of him. And he said the same about Alex and myself and our family. That he always, no matter what it was, whether passed the driving exam, got an A on a random test, he's always like, I'm proud of you, boy, I'm proud of you, Alex. And I know we were beyond proud of him. I molded myself after my father and after him. Those were the 2 points in my life that they were the 2 pillars that put me where I'm at today at almost 34 years old. And it'll carry me well into the future because you can't forget Dan. I think back to the things that will never leave my mind, and it brings me solace in what it meant to me and the ones that we love the most. He was a one-of-one. Anyone that met him, whether friends of mine that met him for 5 minutes, friends that grew up with me, and we'd go to his house and hang out and go to his parties, and they're like, yeah, you know, never met anyone like him. And he carried that into his career as well. He was very decorated. He took it so seriously that it's a shame it's the way he went out, but I think it's the way he would have wanted to go out in the uniform. He introduced me to my favorite movie when I was probably too young to see it, and that's going to be my closing remark, is what we do in life echoes in eternity. And these 3 lives that we have lost, I can guarantee that they will echo in eternity. Thank you.
And for our motor presentation, I'd like to bring in Sergeant Scott Yoder.
Hello, my name is Sergeant Scott Yoder, Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office Motor Unit. I would first like to extend my deepest condolences to the Paez, Waller, and Diaz family. Corporal Paez, Deputy Waller, and Deputy Diaz were not only our coworkers, but most importantly our friends, mentors, and our brothers. The motor unit spends more time with each other than with our own families. Losing these gentlemen leaves a pain that cannot be imagined for the families, for the PBSO motor unit, and for this community itself. Deputy Hannigan shared a statement that I thought I would share with you all today. There is no clear path through this kind of sorrow, no way to make sense of it all. But in the shared moments of silence and the understanding of others who are also lost, there may be a small thread of solace. A reminder that even in the deepest, darkest, we are not alone. We know that our brothers are riding with us, and we'll never forget them. I'm going to read a poem that resonates within the motor community and was loved by these motormen sitting in front of us today. It sounds like thunder far away, but the skies are blue and bright, and soon they crest the hill nearby and ride into our sight. They shake the ground with powerful sound, and they make some hearts beat fast. They look so proud and noble, like knights come from the past. Side by side, they always ride and seem to move as one. From early in the morning light to the setting of the sun, and children point and wave to them from cars that pass by. And young ones ask their parents, why do men have mirrors for eyes? They ride the roads and fight for good and defend small ones like you. They ask to ride and do with pride, and sometimes they are few. Like men of steel on silver wings, they sparkle in the light, then with roar and rumble, they ride out of our sight. Sometimes when one has fallen, never to ride again, you can hear the others calling like thunder on the wind. Side by side, they slowly ride, and their thunder is a mournful sound, and the mirrors hide their eyes from us when teardrops fall to the ground. So if you see one riding and you look into his face, you see your reflection in his eyes, you know that you are safe. For motormen, we are a special breed. They love to ride the wind. And when you hear the thunder boom, the fallen one rides again. I'm now going to proceed to explain the meaning of the winged wheel and the patch that we proudly display on our uniform. The wheel and arrow patch dates back to the early 1900s when the motorcycle was introduced into the military. The military used patches to identify the unit and its role in service. The wheel was used to signify the motorcycle, the type of motion, or unit. The arrow was added to show the motorcycle was armed and could fight. The rider could shoot and was considered a precise shot. The arrow displayed the armor and precision, skill of the rider of both gun and machine. After World War I, the police departments compared themselves to the riders in World War I and adopted a patch. Later, departments added traffic to the patch to show the type of enforcement the unit was used for. Soon after, the wing was added to the wheel and arrow. The wing signifies speed. The motor officers at the time would chase down the speeder and jump into the vehicle and force them to stop. The wings displayed the speed and danger involved in the job, the swift jump to the vehicle from the speeding motorcycle. Some say after the jump you have earned your wings, either by the patch or in death. Today's motor unit patch still displays all three aspects of the job. The motorcycle represents the motion, the arrow being a precise shot or the agility of the motorcycle's capabilities, the wings, the swift speed of the motorcycle, and the danger involved. The patch is usually worn on the sleeve with the arrow facing forward or pointing to the heart of the officer to show the unit will move forward and evolve, and how much it means to the officer and the department. Once again, the wing represents swiftness, arrow precision, and the wheel is motion. A police motorcycle is also compared to the motor wheel patch, swift, precise motion. Motorcycle deputies earn the right to wear the ringed wheel on their uniform after they pass the most rigorous school in law enforcement and are accepted as a member of the motor unit. The motor wheel patch and motor wings worn are collars enriched with history and traditions that are still endured to this day. To continue with this tradition, the deputies of the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office motor unit will now line up and honor brothers Corporal Paez, Deputy Waller, and Deputy Diaz by placing a motor wing in each motorman boot. On behalf of the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office Motor Unit, the items displayed here on stage, such as the helmet and other mementos, will be given to the family following the service at the reception area. On behalf of the families, Sheriff Rick Bradshaw, Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office Motor Unit, we would like to extend our gratitude and appreciation for all your support over the past several days from the community and all the law enforcement agencies from across this great nation. Thank you all for assisting us. Thank you all for showing your support. And once again, to our brothers, please rise safe in heaven. To the family members, please, our deepest condolences. Thank you all.
By the left flank! Hoi! Oh, yes, 1023. Palm Beach is checking the channel for motor 4, motor 7, and motor 18. Palm Beach is checking the channel for motor 4, motor 7, and motor 18. Palm Beach to all units and listening agencies. The Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office will be observing a moment of silence in memory of our 3 fallen deputies. Corporal Louis Paez, Deputy Sheriff Ralph Butch Waller, and Deputy Sheriff Ignacio Dan Diaz. Corporal Paez was a dedicated employee for the past 36 years, Deputy Waller for the past 18 years, and Deputy Diaz for the past 20 years with this agency. Four, motor 7, and motor 18 are 10-7. Palm Beach is clear.
Please be seated.
The pipes melodies that we heard earlier, a familiar melody whose lyrics remind us today that we have a hope and an anchor for our soul. I encourage you, if you know the lyrics, you can sing along with us.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. Oh, surrounded by your glory, surrounded by your mercy. Oh, what grace today. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear. In grace my fears relieve. How precious dear that grace appeared the hour I first believed. His word, my hope secures. He will my shield and portion be, as long as life endures. He will my shield and portion be. He will my shield and portion be, as long as life endures.
I'd like to invite Pastor Tom Mullins back up for our closing benediction.
Let us pray. Our most kind and precious Heavenly Father, we are thankful for the words and the hope and the promise that is found in your Son, Jesus Christ. We know that you loved us so much that you gave us your only begotten Son, that whosoever would believe in him would not perish but have everlasting life. I pray, God, that today, as we've realized just how fragile life is, that we will take this moment to pause and to realize that our true eternal hope is found in Christ and Christ alone. Help us, Lord, to embrace his love and the life you have for us today. We pray for the families that you will honor them and bless them and cover them with your comfort, with your strength. And I pray the words of Moses when he gave us the priestly prayer of blessing. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and to be gracious to you. And the Lord turn his face towards you and give you peace. May God bless you. Go in his spirit and in his comfort. Amen.
Amen.
This concludes our service. On behalf of the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office, Sheriff Rick Bradshaw, the Paez family, the Waller family, and the Diaz family, we would invite you to go next door to a nice reception for us over at the South Florida Fairgrounds reception hall. Thank you very much.
You have been watching along with us on this afternoon the memorial service for Corporal Luis Paez, Deputy Dan Diaz, and Deputy Ralph Waller. An emotional afternoon as family and friends and colleagues streamed by the stage. A poignant moment with Brian Mast as he saluted each casket on this Memorial Day. The culmination for this community, as one person spoke of it earlier, November 21st, the day these three men lost their lives doing what they love in service to our community, the darkest day in the history of the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office.
And on this day, as we look at the thousands who gathered here, law enforcement agencies from around the nation, the images that perhaps you are left with, I know I certainly am. On this day, from a little child on his mother's soldier on the streets, paying respects as a motorcade passed by, to a president-elect, Donald Trump, sitting in the audience here silently as the service was held, to motor units from as far away as San Diego to New York and everywhere in between. From the words of friends who'd driven their motorcycles to national parks together, to Luis Paez and his friends who said he was an avid photographer who wanted to do that in his retirement, which was less than a year away. We heard about the dimension of three veteran motormen's lives We saw in the gathering this day of many thousands from around the community and nation that police, deputies may be bowed, but they're not broken. The community is grieving, but we'll move on. And we were reminded in a profound way that for all the tremendous loss, as we move forward from this day as a community, always best to remember how fully and joyfully and courageously, as the daughter of Ignacio Diaz said, her dad, these men lived.
And one message we received today, courage was as natural as breathing. Nothing could be as selfless for these 3 deputies, a corporal, 2 sheriff's deputies who spent more than 80 years combined serving our community day in and day out. In the words of that daughter, her loss will never be filled, and we are forever grateful for the sharing these families did with our community.
And we leave you with a quote from today: "To serve and protect was their oath. To honor them is our duty." Continuing coverage throughout the day on WPTV.